Are we live? Yo, all right. I guess we are. I guess we're live. I think so. Okay. So, we're back on OBS tonight and maybe I don't know what's going on. Shit's wasn't expected to start that quick, but let me make sure all my shit's working. Do I yeah, there we go. We got Pepper Tony in here fimsed on the real stream. Is there a fake one? Shit. Shit, I got to make sure we're not not displaying multiple ones. Okay. Yo, what is that? Why? I see that now. That's so strange. All right. Some troubleshooting. That's fucking weird. Delete that shit forever. Not sure why that happened, but we're live on the correct one. Yeah. You know, this has happened to me multiple times. I don't know why, but it always defaults to the very first one that I did fucking 3 years ago. Sorry about that. We're back on OBS, and OBS is different. So I'm trying to get back to my roots, trying to get back to how I started, not get caught up in the StreamYard tendencies. And so apologies for the little hiccups. But what's up, Tax and Gigs? What's up, Nick Constantino, GM? I say we just hop in. I say we just move on. Boy. Not what I intended. I say we just hop in and get this shit rolling. Quite a few odd beginnings to this, but let's join. I think we'll do a field general. I think that's what we're going to do. We're not entering the Scott Fishbowl satellite. There's nothing to win. So maybe one day we'll go for charity. Maybe tonight we'll do a pitball later on, but I think we're going to start just keep it simple. We'll do the $3 field general, and I think we're going to hop in 5. You know what? No, I'll give you 10 seconds. I'll give you 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Watch me get a location error. Okay. Whew. In all honesty, this is not my best showing. We're back on the original streaming software, and I am rusty. So apologies for the confusion. After all, I am just a friggin' stoner. Right? Don't I have a built-in excuse? Don't I have just a little bit of extra slack? But no, I'm not maxing the Scott Fishbowl. Not gonna do that. The only time I've ever hopped in the Scott Fishbowl was the day after like Hawk became a thing, and we just made sure to draft TJ Hawkinson and Tua Tagovailoa on that team. That was the only effing time we hopped in to the Scott Fishbowl. But BC Rock got pick 3. That's Barry, 1970. I think we're drafting with Fido Beto at the 101. I think we have Super Beast right next to us, of course. And then maybe the Nephilim rings a bell. But behind me is Gold Fisher, CKG, 123. Zach Morris in here as well. King Kaz at the 107. Schultz at the 106. And then $1 Million Sleeper at 104. Sosky at 102. Let me know if you're in here. We got Nick Constantino at the 107. King Kaz. You know what? If anything, we need a little pick-me-up from how that thing started. I even had the music rolling, hoping I don't get demonetized just for playing my hype song. If you are new to the streams, I've mentioned this in the past, but the song I listen to before we go live is Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. And if anything is a description of what we are trying to do on Underdog, it is win money for nothing. It's not that hard. You just gotta, in theory, it's actually very hard. But when you really put it on paper, what you're actually doing to maybe potentially win $2 million or whatever prize money you get, it's not like you actually have to play the games. It's not like you actually have to put up 175 yards and 3 touchdowns like King Henry does. You know, not that difficult path to success. So if you caught the first moments of the live stream today, a little bit of a shit show, but you know what? That's how we roll sometimes, and we find our way. But we'll smoke a bong to even the playing field. You know what, Nick? In honor of that, I'll take a rip. I'm definitely. We'll make this pick, and then I'll take a rip. How about that? I'm good with Drake May. I don't want to fall behind at quarterback in a Superflex league. Super Beast does not take Superflex. Goes with Jamar. I guess he can hit the flex too, but I'll take quarterback. That's who I want to hit the flex. Quarterback. So you want to hit that position early. I think 2 in the first 3 rounds is a general rule of thumb to keep your team pretty competitive. I think you're not doing anything wrong when you have 2 in the first 3 rounds. Now, maybe there are instances where you're passing on really good values. Like if you're sitting at pick 19 and Jamar Chase is somehow still not off the board. Yeah, just fucking take him. You know, I think on one of our early streams doing the Superflex format, we got Jamar at pick 16. I'm pretty sure I got him that late. That was a weird lobby. If round 1 had like 10 out of 12 quarterbacks selected, it was rather interesting. I do kind of like the anchor wideout in these lobbies, but I'll tell you this. If I got an opportunity to stack last year's quarterbacks that I love the most, Drake May and Justin Herbert, I had him on both of my redraft leagues. And basically every week in one team, I was starting Drake May. The other team, I was starting Justin Herbert. Barring a few matchups where I just thought it was just way too obvious which one I wanted. They were both always super consistent. Even if I didn't start the right one, I got a very good output out of the other one. So we're going to lock up both of those top 10 quarterbacks. I genuinely think Herbert can win the MVP this year. I trust the Mike McDaniel system. But we got the first 2 quarterbacks on our roster already. I'm pretty happy with it. And that means we're taking a rip from the pipe. If you got it, go ahead and smoke it with me. Let's go. And with that, let's bring in the music. I think we're going to mix up the soundtrack today. Maybe later in the stream we'll hit the other soundtrack, but we're going to start off with a different soundtrack today. Let's hit it. I think that volume is where I like it on this song. There's one that I think is a little bit louder than the other one, so let me know if this volume is appropriate for y'all, but I think we're okay. Game Tight, what did you miss? Perhaps one of the more awkward beginnings to a live stream I've had in a minute. Our return to OBS was not quite the return from grace as I would have hoped. But if anything, a raw, authentic moment is good content as well. And like Bob Ross said, there are no mistakes, only happy accidents. We're figuring things out. And I will say, OBS did have a little update. Now I got to link my channel account, as opposed to previously, I was just linking the stream key. There was like a specific code that my stream would have, and as long as it was plugged in. Yo, we get Jefferson this late? Fuck yeah. Absolutely. Pick 33, Justin Jefferson, phenomenal. Some are saying that maybe that Jets matchup is such a winnable game, it'll be over at halftime. Maybe the Vikings aren't as exciting in Week 17, but it's still the Jets, and they're still expected to win. I think that inherently is a good matchup. But you also need to get to Week 17. You also need to win in Week 15, Week 16. And if I recall, there were probably more teams in the final round that had Kyle Pitts that actually won with Kyle Pitts. I'm not 100% sure if that's, provable, but I don't think he delivered properly in Week 17. But you needed the correct player in Week 17. You also had to get there. And I love Jefferson's schedule. He's home against Detroit and Washington weeks 15 and 16. Those are defenses I do not fear, and I think he will turn up, especially against the Commanders. That's been a very, very easy spot last year. Once they readdressed their secondary a few years ago, it's just never quite gotten right. And even though they have Marshawn Lattimore, he is washed, basically. I just don't think he's someone to fear anymore. But we are back on the clock. Speaking of Week 17, why don't we go with Derrick Henry? He gets the Bengals. I'm not going to be upset with this. This is definitely a tier of running back I want to be hitting, and that is the luxury of going with double QB up top. We got a room that didn't value Justin Jefferson enough. He fell 7 spots. I already thought he was going a little too late, and we start off with that double purple with Drake May and Justin Herbert. We got the quarterback position being purple. And then not only that, we get Justin Jefferson wearing purple. Same with Derrick Henry. And I don't know if you realize this, but your boy is also wearing purple. We are... Oh, no, I hit the wrong button. Where's the comment? Yeah, there it is. Good in purple. So far, we are good in purple. If anything, that probably does deserve a hit. But I'm going to take my supplements for the night. I'm taking my omega-3s, my magnesium, and my Shilajit. Smashing that like button. Thank you, Game Type. Appreciate the support. And looks like we already got half of y'all hitting the like button, up to 15 likes already. Y'all are delivering. Thank y'all very much. We are only 4 rounds in. That's kind of fast to hit 15 likes, but OBS solid, but can be hard to navigate. Riverside is pretty good. I grew up on the YouTube streaming with OBS. It was free, definitely up my alley in that regard, and I like it quite a bit. However, I have not been using it. The last time we were on OBS, my stream was lagging. I was dropping several frames. Today, it's been good. We haven't dropped a single frame, and I think it's because my computer needed to empty the trash can. I think I just had not enough space on my computer. It was running slow. This happens to me every week during the regular season. When I'm making content and I'm exporting it through Final Cut, all of the footage, all of the save files, editing all those videos, the computer only has about a terabyte of space, and if I don't clear it every 10 days basically, then it freezes on me. And it's been like a couple months, so sometimes you just forget about it, and I think that's why I was dropping frames. But today we're good. We cleared the trash, and I wanted to get back to it. I wanted to get back to OBS, but we could stack up AJ Brown. However, we're getting a nice little discount on Kyren Williams, and that is pretty solid. I think Kyron's in a tier above the rest of the running backs remaining, so I will take Kyren, and who knows, maybe I get lucky with AJ Brown coming back, but even if I don't, it's not that big of a deal. What's up, Bayou? How we doing? Check out Bayou Bengal FN. Really fun channel. He's been on the channel, and looks like we might be joining him soon. Perhaps. It does sound like now that he's on StreamYard, he can do some hosting at times, and it's good to do a little bit of both. So excited for that, and check him out if you haven't done so already. Fun streamer, and we both agree that we think the New Orleans Saints are going to win that division, and they have some very good fantasy assets. But since I took Kyren, there's 4 quarterbacks off the board. Damn, the team that waited for Stroud looks a little desperate, and I do get rewarded. I played that correctly, I think. We go AJ Brown in round 6, pick 64, after taking Kyren at 57. Now, I'm not dying to have 2 really strong receivers in this format. It's fine. I want my lineup to be good, so it's not the end of the world. It's not something I'm going to be opposed to. But especially getting the stack, assuming that AJ Brown does go to New Orleans, that's an extra kicker. You know, we're still playing best ball. We're still trying to maximize the upside. So AJ Brown there, a little past ADP, did circle back, and we did get the Drake May combo. Feels pretty nice. So this team is coming together. I think so far the starting roster looks really, really good, and we've filled in the super flex position. We can put in another flex spot another tight end. And for the most part, I'm going to be favoring running backs until I feel like that position has dried out. Given I've got two really good players in my starting lineup at wide receiver 1, at wide receiver 2, I can kind of ignore that position for a while. That position is going to fall in Superflex lobbies. You don't need to force it too much. But Pepper Tony asking, do you prefer purple, orange, or green weed? I'll be honest. If I'm at the dispensary and I'm sifting through the options and I get a peek at one versus the other and one has some purple in it, the other does not, I'm going to take the purple weed. I'm gonna take the purple. Definitely. I would like some orange in there too. But if it's only green, it's not as exciting. I'd prefer if there's some purple in there. Purple is the color of royalty, you know. Purple is what sparked the French Revolution. Literally. Purple has a, you know, highly coveted, highly contentious backstory. Purple's cool. AJ Brown should get a lot more volume with May. I think AJ Brown, as long as he stays healthy, will have a... This is probably putting too much expectation on him, on his shoulders, but I think there's a chance. I mean, do we take the big fall on... I don't think so. I think I'm going to go Tyler Warren. I still think Garrett Wilson could be a big mistake. So I almost took Davante Adams, but it's right at ADP, so it's not getting different. Garrett Wilson falling 8 spots is kind of interesting, but he'll fall 8 spots in the regular, you know, puppy tournaments. And it doesn't feel like you're actually getting a really safe pick still. Like, I don't know about Garrett Wilson. I want to believe, but more Jets on this roster? I don't think so. At least Geno Smith did not get him. That drafter almost got him, but not today. But I do talk myself more into Tyler Warren every day now. I've been clicking Tyler Warren consistently more often lately. I'll tell you that. Especially if it was a full PPR format, I think he's even more valuable. On Underdog, it's still half, so not quite the same. But with no Michael Pittman there, I think his role is really locked in. All right, we're back on the clock. I could just go Ramondre with Drake May. However, in my gut, I think the true highest upside is with Rico Dowdle. Now, maybe you're going to say I should have taken Davante Adams there. Also fell 7 spots. But I don't feel desperate at receiver. I want to fill out my flex spot typically with running back or quarterback, and we're about to hit a cliff at running back soon. I want to have 4 by a range that I'm comfortable with, and we're almost there, but it might dry up super fast in this league around the turn. Running back is a tough position to predict in Superflex. It usually gets steamed up dramatically if most people know what they're doing. Brown is New Orleans now. No, he's I'm thinking he is New England. That's what I'm thinking. Yeah. Sorry. If I said New Orleans, my bad. I definitely meant New England. Getting 3 solid RBs in first 6 rounds, I think, is the smart strategy in this format. We only got 2, but we did get Rico Dowdle, one of the key late pieces, I think, to keep your bench depth pretty viable. We got Who Hames in the chat. Link to you and to mine. Hope it helps. What's up? Oh, shit. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much for the shout. Awesome. We're going to go live with Who Hames tomorrow. He's celebrating 600 subs. Cracked it today. Congrats, Who Hames. And look out for that. That's going to be fun. Should be live. I believe the time is 1 p.m. Pacific, so 4 p.m. on the East Coast. Check that out. Damn. Kind of tough, but I think I'm just going to go Kyle Monangai. A good offense. You know, DeAndre Swift is not impervious to injury. He wasn't last year when he missed time. Monangai crushed. And while some of the success is a little bit injury dependent, he was so efficient on the goal line when you really look into it. He's probably going to expand his role given they didn't bring in anyone else in. They seemed to feel comfortable committing to Kyle Monangai as the backup. Bayou says, I've been seeing Warren fall for some reason. Yeah, I kind of felt a little bit off taking him there at pick 81. I just didn't really love some of the other prices. And I do think people are typically sleeping on him. Just a little bit. Like, he feels a little underwhelming. But if you're going to ask me Tyler Warren versus Alec Pierce, I think at cost, they go right next to each other typically. And I'm definitely in the Tyler Warren camp. I'd rather trust Tyler Warren running against linebackers most of the time, as opposed to Alec Pierce now getting treated as a true number one receiver by opposing DBs. Just a tougher matchup. I maybe should just get back in at wide receiver. Parker Washington kind of calling my name. But I like to do this in Superflex. I like Kenneth Gainwell, specifically Kenneth Gainwell, to be my fifth running back. And as long as I get some combination of names above him where he is specifically number 5. If he's number 4, it feels different. If he's number 6, it feels overkill. But at number 5 in Superflex, if I wanted to, I could actually stop drafting running backs. I actually think I have a good enough room, and one or two of these guys is going to hit the bench every week, whether it's the bye or just their performance. But I also think I'm getting like consistently 13 plus minimum every week out of 3 of the 5. So I am happy with it. Derrick Henry, Kyron Williams, Rico Dowdle, Kyle Monangai, and Kenny Gainwell. DWB Mania says Monangai was definitely the right pick there. He's taken over by midseason. I don't know if I'm willing to go that far, but I don't think he is. I think he's going to have similar to a role like Jalen Warren. I think Kyle Monangai could push for 40% of the snaps. I think Monangai is not going to disappear. Now, he doesn't really catch passes, not too many. That's not quite his game. But he comes in goal-to-go situations. That is critical because ultimately the Bears, under the radar, are a run-first team. First thing Ben Johnson did when he joined the Chicago Bears, he kind of influenced free agency towards the offensive line specifically. They also traded for a Pro Bowl center or guard. I forget who they took from Kansas City. I don't memorize linemen's names sometimes. But what I did memorize is that he was a all-pro offensive lineman. And that just set the tone for the rest of the offensive line and all the moves they made subsequently and all the improvements they made. Ben Johnson fixed the run game, ultimately. And year 2, we expect Caleb Williams to take the leap, but that's not going to be a mindset shift in Chicago. They are a run-first team, if you ask me. But they didn't draft another running back, so that means Kyle Monangai is just cemented where he currently stands. If not, he's going to gain even more traction. So I like Kyle Monangai for the upside. The role is maybe not the most exciting, but the offense is one of the best. And he's ultimately the last Chicago Bear you can actually afford to be drafting. Am I actually going to take Deshaun Watson today? Am I actually going to take the massage 18, 19 picks past ADP? I don't really want to, but I think ultimately it is the best price right here. And there's still a bunch of good wideouts available. So fuck it. Feels gross. Feels like a death nail, honestly. Feels like I just added a shit ton of bad mojo. Feels like I just sunk this team. But his ADP is 110. We took him 129 today. And there is some growing traction in terms of him winning the job in training camp. It does seem like odds are They pay him enough, they're going to give him another shot. Whether he deserves it, that is another question. He looked absolutely washed, but the Browns are terrible decision makers up top in terms of an organization, and ultimately they're going to go in for another massage. They're lubing up one more time for another massage. Most overvalued running back this season? Good question. Let me make this pick while I think about it. Very, very good question. I think I'm going to go Jacoby Myers. Kind of tempted to go Romeo Doubs for the stack. However, you know what? Yeah, I'll take the stack. Give me Romeo Doubs. I was really hoping QJ would still be on the board by now, but he went 119. I took Kenneth Gainwell instead of QJ. Anyways, back to your question. The most overvalued running back this season. Got to scroll up. I think it might be Jeremiah Love. It might be Devon Achane. It could possibly be Ashton Genty. I doubt it. I doubt it's Genty, but he's really, really up there. It could possibly be Hampton. I think that's possible, but probably the safest bet, Jeremiah Love. I just don't see why you want to bet on the Arizona Cardinals offense. The running back is just not going to get enough touchdown opportunity. It's just not going to happen enough. There might be one or two random spikes. He's good enough to do that, but I think Jeremiah Love is probably deserving to fall to like the 4th round. Jeremiah Love versus Bucky Irving, I think, is a very legit question. And Bucky Irving also feels like he could plummet. So I'm going to go Jeremiah Love. I've had a hard time taking him. And even when I get him to fall, like, I checked my exposures. I have him average pick like 27 in the regular format. Not the Superflex format, but, single quarterback. And whenever I get him recently, it's like pick 30, pick 31, and it almost never happens. But I still kind of feel like I'm making a mistake. Who raid? Yeah, yesterday, YouTube's going to be overwhelmed with the Whoham stream coming at you on Sunday. I got the 5 RBs, got the 3 quarterbacks. I think I'm going to get back to wideout. This turn I'm coming around is a little weak at wide receiver, not going to lie. A little bit weak. So I'm not the only one with 3 receivers feeling a little desperate. I'm just going to pull up Stephon Diggs. I think he is ultimately the best click in this range, and I would like to get another tight end. I think this is a sweet spot for me for my stacks, but both available options are still on the board, and I'm not as convinced that Stephon Diggs is not coming back. I think Zach Morris with only 3 receivers as well, feeling the pressure. He has Waddle, Terry, Godwin. I think he's in the market for a wide receiver here. And I think Diggs is the highest upside of the names remaining. Diggs going to sign somewhere. Diggs going to get many targets. Diggs going to play and be pretty good. DW, Ken Walker, he's injured by week 4. That's a bold statement. That would suck. I mean, I'm a Charger fan, so not the end of the world. But yeah, we just get Hunter Henry here. Oronde Gadsden was an option, but I'm not fully convinced that you'd just not rather have Njoku. I think you definitely want Gadsden, but I'm not sure the gap between the two is that massive. So he's been falling. I was willing to push it. He did not make it to 160, but I had a pivot option with Hunter Henry, who is pretty locked in as a safe pick to stack with Drake May. So we get his former wide receiver 1 in Stephon Diggs, going to be somebody else's wide receiver 1, hopefully maybe in Vegas. We get Hunter Henry with Drake May. We also took Romeo Doubs at 136. So the Diggs replacement and then the favorite tight end of Drake May. Our stack with Herbert has yet to be found, but we have Justin Jefferson on this team. We also have A.J. Brown. So we just have a mega Patriot stack And who knows? Maybe A.J. Brown doesn't go to New England. Who knows? You know what I heard? A.J. Brown has a very limited list of teams he's willing to go to. And the Chargers are on that list. The Chargers are one of the teams. So who knows? Maybe we did get our stacking partner. Maybe A.J. Brown is catching passes from Justin Herbert. Listen to you while drafting these $3 eliminators. Got 9 left to do before the contest fills. Good luck. Good evening, DJ Quill. Hope you're doing well. I think you might be on Who Hames right after me tomorrow, if my memory is correct in terms of the scheduling. Looking forward to that. Thank you for joining the chat. The Massage Parlor Bandit, I call him. Yeah, not a good vibe in the blunt rotation. If anything, Deshaun Watson is the last quarterback you want to join the blunt rotation. Am I just going to take Carson Beck at this discount? I'm not a Carson Beck slappy, but I'm not a massage slappy either. So today I'm just taking the value. I like to go 4 QBs kind of regardless of how I approach it in Superflex, unless I take a third by like the 4th or 5th round. I'm usually going 4. So we got a little discount on the massage. We got a little discount on Carson Beck, both over 10 picks. And now I'm done at quarterback. I could arguably be done at running back. Gainwell is my 5th. And then we have 4 receivers so far. That's a position where I'm going to want some solid depth remaining. This is gross. I've watched you several times and just realized I wasn't subscribed. New sub. Thank you. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for hitting the subscribe button. Boom, Quilt. Let's go. Boom, shakalaka. Thank you, Disbanded Brotherhood, letting us know you're in here. You know what? If anything, we should probably blaze it. Probably a good time. I'll wait for this pick. We're at 184. Round 16. Nice and blunt. But let me think it through first. I could take David Njoku. That's definitely a viable option. We haven't stacked up anyone with Herbert yet. So that's live to fit the team. Definitely makes sense. Trey Tucker doesn't quite make sense. Antonio Williams has gotten really expensive. Same with Dejon Stribling. They're interesting, but I'm just going to take the stack, and now I'm just done at tight end. It's basically wide receiver the rest of the way on this draft. We have 4 picks left, and if we're feeling frisky, maybe we can add a 6th running back if there's someone that really speaks to me. But at this point, no one that I think is really super coveted. If anything, you're just taking dart throws. So gonna take some swings with receiver. I want at least 7 wideouts. Maybe I'll have a 6th running back, but this feels like a solid team. We go double QB to start. Drake May, Justin Herbert. We stay with purple with Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, and then we finally pivot to another color with Kyron Williams. One player I think is very, very valuable in terms of the tier break where he goes. A.J. Brown did make it back. I got the projected Patriots stack. Tyler Warren, very good tight end, very consistent option in our starting lineup. Rico Dowdle, Kyle Monangai, Kenny Gainwell. Happy with that running back depth. Deshaun Watson at a discount. That's the only time I'll take a Deshaun Watson at a discount in Superflex, where you just need starters. Romeo Doubs, Stephon Diggs. Perhaps I should have gone with a receiver. Like having Godwin instead of Deshaun would probably feel much better. Maybe Watson was the bad click there, but Henry, another stacking partner, Carson Beck at a discount. At least our quarterback position has some known starters. Carson Beck will definitely get some starts in December. So might be really valuable, might be worthless. Deshaun might start the season, might go down quickly, might get booed off the field by week 5. But a lot of money invested in, probably a longer leash than most. I think I will take Jerry Jeudy. I never really take him. This is turning into a roster I don't really have much exposure to typically. But Jeudy probably has enough reps under his belt where he doesn't just like disappear from the roster in Cleveland. And if anything, he's not a true number 1. So if anything, he needs like less attention to be more productive. I don't think that both Concepcion and Denzel Boston will force him off the field. So if there is a Browns receiver I'm starting to think might actually be a decent, worthwhile investment, it's just because Judy's going so effing late. I've considered it a little bit more valuable lately, but pick 201 is just like so free ultimately. There's not that many instances for this to go poorly, but it might not go well. It also might be worthless. But fuck it, let's go Trey Harris. A little worried about his true upside. You know, there's a lot of projection with Trey Harris, but Keenan Allen, I don't think is coming back. And unless they trade for A.J. Brown, Brian Thomas Jr. after June 1st, hard to imagine someone really comes in there and terrorizes the potential workload of Trey Harris. I think he'll be okay when it's all said and done. I think they want to see what they have in the year 2 option. They spent a second-round pick on him, and the only thing that changed was the offensive coordinator. It's still the same coaching staff. It's still the same GM. They liked him last year, and last year was a pretty good draft class overall in terms of talent. So I'm willing to bet on his development. He gets extra time in the facility, unlike some of the rookies. And essentially, I kind of view him like a rookie, you know? I think if they had drafted him in the second round this year, we'd probably be taking him where we took him last year. In like, what was it, like the 11th round? We took Trey Harris super high last year. It was kind of crazy. But I think I didn't blaze it. Now that I think about it, I don't think I blazed it. Fuck it. I'm not taking a single Cleveland Brown this year, 0-16 team this year. I think they'll go like 2-15, and there are 17 games, so they can't go 0-16. They can go 0-17, but they can't go 0-16. I'm smoking the Maiden right now. I don't think I've ever heard of it, but sounds fun. Grab Brennan Thompson at the end of the stack. Shh, DW. Keep it under wraps, bro. Shh. We want to keep him a sleeper. But yeah, I'm starting to get really excited about Brennan Thompson. His name is not Benson Thompson. It's Brennan Thompson with only one N. And you actually did know what I was thinking. I'm just going to take him here because I know I want that 7th receiver. Now is the question, do I stop with 7? I have Jefferson and A.J. Brown up top. That is pretty good. Romeo Doubs, Stephon Diggs, especially if Diggs does sign somewhere, should be pretty solid. And then Judy's not going to give me more than like 5 games, but I do think he's showcased his ability to really pop off. Remember that Broncos revenge game a couple years ago? That was with Jameis Winston, but still, I think there's a chance that when Judy explodes, he could really pop. But he might be a terrible click. Might be awful. I only took him because I have Deshaun. Trey Harris, Brennan Thompson for the late stack with Herbert, Tyler Warren, Hunter Henry, and David Njoku. Good tight end room. Receiver room feels pretty solid. Oh, fuck it. Let's look at running back at this point. If Derrick Henry goes down, I might be fucked. So let's go Adam Randall, perhaps. I like Randall. Not gonna lie, I like him quite a bit. He feels like the more immediate plug-in. Let's go Adam Randall. Let's do it. Now, Justice Hill is capable, definitely showcased some ability, but also got really injured last year. And who knows? When you have a neck injury, that's not something that's easy to come back from. And it's also potentially going to force you to retire if it gets aggravated. So I'll bet on the rookie. Love his size profile. Looks like a beast. Looks like a perfect backup for Derrick Henry. But Brotherhood going to start streaming tomorrow. Is this the channel name? If so, we got to subscribe. We got to check it out. What's up, Devin? Thank you for popping in. But 100% breeds cannabis. I can't show my face in 2026. So if you're going to stream, are you going to wear a mask or something? I'm not sure, man. But let's check it out. If it's a different channel, let us know. But I imagine it's going to be the same one. I look forward to I'm going to try and make sure I make it. Fuck yeah. What's the next draft I'm going to try and get in? I think we might do another one of these field generals, perhaps. Doesn't feel bad. But Taxon Gig says Rico Dowdle can easily rush for 1,000 this year. I think once he takes the job, he's never looking back. So I don't know if it's a lock for 1,000, but I do think it's capable of happening. I do think it's possible with Rico. DWB, I have so much exposure for Concepcion and Boston in the big boards. Then Cleveland ruined me by taking both. I know, that was my big takeaway from the NFL draft. Man, Cleveland and New York, the Jets and the Browns, said fuck you to the dynasty community. No fucking regard for any of those investments. Just a big middle finger by taking some of the best talent. Omar Cooper Jr., Kenyan Sadiq, Denzel Boston, Concepcion, to the two worst franchises you could imagine. Just a nail in the heart. If you wouldn't mind a team review, it'd be appreciated. Sure thing, Keith. Definitely looking forward to that. Rico's probably getting 7 touchdowns. Judy for sure gets one random 25 target game this season. I think he'll have a huge blow up, but also be terrible most of the time. Randall, one of my sleepers, was an owner pick apparently, so you know they're going to give him a shot. Ooh, that's good to know. I liked him a lot in the big board, and then I kind of felt like I took too much, so I stopped taking him. I thought the Derrick Henry backup, definitely valuable. But we look forward to it. I'll be sure to check that out for your debut. Hell yeah, Disbanded Brotherhood. Check him out. Okay, let's give some team reviews. We'll start with mine and then go through the board. I was at pick 9. We go Drake May in the first round, Justin Herbert in the second. We took a 19 pick discount on Deshaun Watson. I never take him otherwise, so keep that in mind. I didn't love it, but if I am going to take him, this is the price and the format. I want to do it. Carson Beck also 24 picks past ADP. I never take him, so 2 rounds past. Might as well mix him in. You know, I'm fine finishing the year with like 3% max on Carson Beck. Today we have our 1% exposure to both him and Deshaun. Running back, though, we have Derrick Henry and his backup, Adam Randall. DJ says Randall is huge. That is the proper way to explain it. There's no other way to say it. Randall is a fucking beast. Imagine spending like 3 quarters trying to tackle Derrick Henry, and then he goes down and you're met with his backup. He's 6'3", 232 pounds, and coming at you at the age of 21 out of Clemson. His bench press was in the 90th percentile. He hit 26 reps on the bench press. Just had to flex. His best comp is Latavius Murray. And if you're looking for some specific stats, last year at Clemson, he didn't really do anything in the run game until his senior year. He was a converted wide receiver, but he did play fairly well, especially on the goal line. 168 carries, only 814 yards. That's not like elite for college numbers, but 13 touchdowns in 13 games. That's what I love to see. And then he did also capitalize on that route running out of the backfield. He had 36 catches. That's pretty nice for 254 yards. He could be a perfect complement, actually, to Derrick Henry, who is not very inclined to catch many passes. They'll set up 1 or 2 screens for him just to keep the defense honest sometimes, but Derrick Henry is not giving you more than like 40 targets. That feels like way more than what you should expect. So I think there's room for Adam Randall to get on the field, but ultimately it's just an insurance policy on Derrick Henry. We got Kyron Williams in here as well. I think just a valuable pick, 5 picks past ADP. I did reach on Rico Dowdle, actually, but I think he's just going too late in the first place, so I'm just going to scoop him up as my RB3. I think he's one of the last that feels like a good option there. And then Kyle Monungai needs touches, but in a very valuable offense, the bet is worth making. The Bears handcuff is elite. Kenneth Gainwell as the 5th. Right now, Bucky Irving has a lot of question marks, so to have the depth, and Kenneth Gainwell could pop like he did last year as a bench stash, I'm chilling. I only need 3 of these every week because I think I'm getting 2 QBs with May and Herbert. So I like this team so far, and our receiving room is dope. In this format, you only have to start 2 minimum. So Justin Jefferson, A.J. Brown, 2 top 10 guys, especially if A.J. is in New England. We have the stack. We also have a triple stack with Romeo Doubs and Hunter Henry, so that's pretty nice. Stephon Diggs, big wild card right now, but could rise 50 picks potentially on the landing spot, hopefully in Las Vegas. Judy with Deshaun. I never take him, but why not? He's going super late, and he's a veteran that knows what he's doing. Gonna have less double coverage this year. Trey Harris, Brennan Thompson for the Justin Herbert stack. I do think one of these guys is gonna have some value. Tyler Warren, though, one of the elite top 5 tight ends, consistently hitting the lineup. Hunter Henry will hit it when he scores touchdowns. He can score 2 in 1 week. He has high spike week value, and Henry keeps getting better year over year. Former Charger, possibly going to live up to the Antonio Gates Hall of Fame career trajectory. Hunter Henry has actually been really, really consistent since he's been a New England Patriot. David Njoku, though, for the stack as well. I think this team is complete. The only thing I might have liked a little bit more is maybe some Week 17 matchup correlation, but the Patriots are playing Denver. I don't know if it's the end of the world. The Chargers are playing Kansas City, so maybe I needed a Kansas City Chief on this team just to really put, the cherry on top potentially. Maybe this team would be better with Travis Kelce, but I still like it. I still think I got a shot, and I got to take a look at some other teams. We had Super Beast requesting a team review. He was at the 108. Let me know if y'all want a team review, but I kind of want to move on to draft number 2. We have 30 likes, 51 watching, so I don't want to bore y'all with just never-ending team reviews. They're fun, but they can get a little time-consuming, so I don't think I'm going to do more than 3. This is the first one. Jackson Dart, Jordan Love, Shador. The Browns quarterback situation is gross, but if Shador takes that job, I don't think he's going to give it up. I think if they don't find a way to commit to Deshaun Watson this year, they are pulling the ripcord and moving on. So Shador, I think, is the higher upside play. I think he should go above Deshaun, but not totally sure how many games he plays. Chase Brown, Breece Hall, Travion Chuba, and Woody Marks. I'm not in love with these 2 clicks. I'm even not that in love with Breece Hall personally, but you are projecting for quite a lot of volume with these 4. If Chuba can keep his job, then he is a good pick. I'm not convinced of that, but we'll find out. Woody Marks, though, I think is kind of really uninspiring, to be honest. As a handcuff profile, if he ever gets the job, he's not someone I trust on the goal line at all. So he has a very cap ceiling, even if he does get the job. So behind Montgomery, I don't like Woody Marks too much. I'm not in love with the depth of this running back room. That's my personal honest take. But receiver has Jamar Chase, Christian Watson, Parker Washington. I know he went pretty solid price. Jalen Coker, Denzel Boston, Jeremy, Darnell Mooney, and Malachi Fields. So the depth is a little bit all over the place. But then 4 tight ends with Kraft, Likely, Gunnar Helm, Theo Johnson. It's an interesting team. I think there's not as much weighing on the running back room. And in Superflex, I prefer that's the position that has a little bit more draft capital than the others. Like that and quarterback, I usually like to be a little bit bulkier. And if anything, you kind of wait a little bit. That's the thing about taking Jamar round 1. I don't really want to finish with 8 receivers. So I think one of these receivers maybe could be different. You have plenty of tight ends, so if anything, put it at running back. I don't really love the Woody Marks as the 5th option and stopping there. Like, I had Kenneth Gainwell as the 5th, and I still took a 6th. So I think this is a format I want 6 running backs typically, and I think that's what I would change. One of these running backs for one of these receivers, turn it in to a running back. I think that's what I would like to do. Fido says more purple. We'll take a look at Fido's team, whether he wants us to or not. We're gonna take a look at Fido's team. But Allen, Bo Nix, Justin Fields, and JJ McCarthy. Now the McCarthy pick might be dog shit, but you have Josh Allen, Bo Nix. I've noticed a lot of teams at the 101 pair Allen with Bo Nix, and I think it's because of ADP. Like, are we really sure that Bo Nix is the correct quarterback there? I could see Stafford play better than Bo Nix. I could see Tyler Shuck play better than Bo Nix. I could see Purdy, when healthy, outscore Bo Nix. I could absolutely see Kyler do it. I actually rank Kyler above Bo Nix. So just because I've noticed this, I'm not in too many Superflex lobbies, but I have seen literally like 3 out of 4 times, basically, the Allen drafter is often pairing him with Bo Nix. I've noticed that pattern. So I think if anything, next time you have Josh Allen, especially Fido, now that you already have a team with this combo, maybe remember that and don't take Bo Nix. Not that he's a bad click there, but I think that's a very flat tier at the position. And in this format, why not get different? You know, I think why not get different? However, the rest of the team with Achane, Bucky, a little bit risky. Those names are, you know, not as solid these days as they once were. Jadarian Price, Tyler Algier, Dylan Sampson, Ollie Gordon. Nice that you have 6. I think that's a good approach there, fairly balanced. And 3 handcuffs, not bad. Pickens, Nico, Brian Thomas, Harrison, Jaden Reed, Khalil Shakir. Love the Shakir value. Like that pick a lot. And then Troy Franklin with Bo Nix. That's pretty solid. If he hits the lineup, it's probably on a deep shot. So I do kind of like Franklin a little bit, because Pat Bryant's more of a volume guy. And right now, the target volume is in question. Franklin just kind of needs one target deep down the field. Travis Kelce goes on this team. Dalton Kincaid, Evan Ingram. The stacks are there, but not sure if Ingram has anything left in the tank, to be honest. So the Broncos tight end kind of feels undraftable. That's my gut call on it. But I do like Kelce this year as a valuable pick, and I love his Week 17 matchup. So I like Kelce. Pretty well-rounded team. You know, J.J. McCarthy, perhaps a 0, but I took Carson Beck. So who am I to say anything? All right. We'll do one more. And I think it's going to be King Cause. King Cause is in here. Let's do it. Jaden Daniels, Kyler, Cam Ward, Mac Jones. Very solid quartet. Running back Jeremiah Love, not my favorite pick, but at least he's going at pick 42 in this format, not pick 22. Byshel Tootin, Blake Corum. Starts to fall off pretty fast. JCM, not a click I like at all. I'm one of the JCM haters. Last year, I was a JCM truther this time of year, but that's when JCM was going undrafted round 18. I was pulling up JCM all of May last year, and I am here to tell you, in 2026, I don't think he is worth pick 114. When he was pick 210, I would sneak him in just for the hell of it. I liked him last year at this time. I don't like it in 2026. But Braylon Allen, Malik Davis, they have a path to get the ball. I actually prefer Malik Davis behind Javonte. That's actually, I think, the correct handcuff to be drafting, not Jaden Blue. So that's someone who knows ball, I think. Amon-Ra, Devontae Smith, Cardinal Tate, Josh Downs. Pretty solid with Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, and Flournoy. Very good receiver room. No complaints there. Punted tight end, but made it work. Really valuable options late. Okonkwo with some touchdown upside. The Commanders' tight end has been valuable last few years. Touchdowns are hitting with Jaden Daniels in Washington. Dalton Schultz, high target volume, not many touchdowns, but the yardage was there last season. Over 777 yards. It was exactly 777 with Dalton Schultz last year, but only like 2 touchdowns. Maybe this year is different. And then Pat Freiermuth, one of the most mispriced tight ends on the board. Losing Jonnu Smith, getting Mike McCarthy will outproduce many tight ends ranked above him. So love this approach to fade it and get those 3. I think that's great. I think the only problem is the running back room. It's just not names I want to trust too much. But ultimately, I think the team is really, really well built. And if I'm wrong on some of these names, then you're going to dominate. So good luck. Running back player takes are the only thing that I don't like about it. Like, everything makes a lot of sense. I think the team is well built. And you take who you get, you know. Sometimes you just have to take your medicine with someone like Love. But at that discount, probably worth it. I would have gone Josh Jacobs over Love. Personally, I would have done that. That's just me. All right, I'm done with team reviews. We're moving on. And what do y'all want? But says a little risky running back room. Yeah, not an off base assessment. Doing any Eliminator? I think we'll do the Frenchie Eliminator. This contest might fill pretty quickly, and for $3, I'm willing to do that. If we do a third draft, I think I'll enter a Dachshund. I think if we're going to do a third, it's not going to be one of these more like specific type of strategies. So yeah, I think we'll do an Eliminator, and I'll give y'all a little time to catch up, and then we'll do a 10-second countdown very soon. Actually, hilarious. Ravens owner is one of the best. Never medals. Ravens had a bunch of picks, so he was like, let me get one of the 5th rounders, and then he nabs this dude. That's funny. As a Ravens fan, I approve. Yo, the Ravens are a fun team to root for. If I have like a team that's in the back of my mind that I actually really like rooting for, it's the Ravens. The first NFL game I've ever been to was watching the Ravens at the Chargers 2 years ago, and that felt like an event. And honestly, as much of a Charger fan as I was, there's part of me that kind of liked rooting for Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That was a lot of fun. But I think we gave y'all enough time. We're going to hop in to the Frenchie Eliminator, this $3 contest in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 9 spots left. Hopefully you weren't in the underfill. That is possible, but definitely an opportunity to get in this one filled fairly quickly. 9 spots already gone. I have pick 6. Best of luck to everyone. We got some names. I already recognize Albie in here. Pick 8. We got Super Beast to pick 11. Dev in the house at pick 12. Luke Dog at 9. Libra right next to me at pick 5. Underdogs Anonymous at pick 4. Game Tight at the 103. Sawski at 101. Definitely he was in the last one, so we'll take a look at Sawski, his team today. And then I'm not sure about Langdon 6, Jackson Duffy, or Spike 9771. Maybe Spike I recognize, but not quite sure. Let me know if y'all are in here. But sorry, DW. Looks like you missed it. What's up, A-Rod? Went to a Miami Dolphins versus Ravens game before. The Ravens deserve to be on primetime more often. The Ravens are never a bad watch. Lamar Jackson always delivers under the bright lights. But thanks for hopping in, Albie. Good to see you. We'll definitely review Albie's team, Dev's team. It's been a minute for Dev. I might skip Super Beast on this one. Not going to lie. There's a lot of friends, so might not have the time. We already reviewed you on the last one. But, of course, Fido. Appreciate you drafting with us, as always. Disbanded on the clock right now. 9th round in the Eliminator. No worries. I don't like to multi-table when I hop into somebody else's streamed draft. But I'm at pick 6. We can do just about anything, but here's the thing. If you don't win in the first few weeks before the buys matter, then the bye weeks don't mean shit. Let's go CMC. You know, like, CMC might get hurt, but it might happen in like week 5, and this team might just be dead already. You know what I mean? Like, unless CMC gets hurt in the offseason, fuck it. We're trying to finish top 6 in week 1. That's ultimately the most important thing. I can be very nitpicky and hyper focus on who has the later bye and have that as a tiebreaker. I think sometimes when it's really like, you know, an obvious flat tier, you can go in that direction. But for the sake of what Christian McCaffrey offers, you know, when he's on the field and healthy, he will deliver. You know, no one's ever benching Christian McCaffrey in their starting lineup. If anything, you expect a touchdown every fucking time. So I think in the Eliminator, knowing that you just need to advance early on, like, maybe this team is going to be dead week 5, you know? Maybe McCaffrey's just destined to miss pretty soon. But we might not get there, you know? Half the lobby's getting cut in week 1. So let's try and at least advance in week 1. That's another strategy to take. And I will worry about buys when we worry about depth. You know, like, at least early on, let's just try to have the best roster possible. Maybe let's just try to do that. So McCaffrey has never been, not worth it when he is active. So at least on that threshold, doesn't feel like a bad click. But if you're scared, then don't draft CMC. I'll at least be at 8% minimum. But thanks, Fancy Dog, for being the number 27 like. Looks like we're up to 41 likes. Y'all are showing up tonight. Thank y'all very much. And at this rate, we're definitely on pace for a third draft for sure. This is our second of the night, so I think we'll hop into a Dachshund next. But if anything, maybe we ask the audience, what would y'all like our next draft format to be? I'm thinking the Dachshund. That's an $8 entry. We could do the $3 Eliminator. Again, just like we're doing right now. I'm coming up on the clock, so maybe just make my pick first. All right, last time you saw me draft one of these, I passed on Kenneth Walker for Josh Jacobs. And I think that was a little naive. Like, yes, the week 5 bye is not good, but we also need to make it to week 5. Like we also just need to get to week 5 in the first place. But let's just try to advance for the most part and just get the better player, the best player possible on the team. I'm going to make sure I have the depth to have a starter in my lineup week 6. Week 5. He's on bye week 5. So maybe I'll look at the matchups even and try to play it that way. Consider a running back I like in a good spot for our RB3. Or at least some depth, At least something like that. But I don't think I want to do a $20 Pitbull tonight. I think I kind of want to save that. I'm not going to do the $10 Superflex Frenchie. We could go back another Field General if y'all only want to spend $3. But I think while this contest is open, I'm not going to enter the regular Eliminator. I'd rather get my feet wet and get some practice reps for only $3 investment. I don't know exactly how I want to approach my Eliminator strategy, in all honesty. I haven't looked at the schedule in depth enough to also know that. So while I figure that out, I'd rather only risk $3 than 10. But I'll give you these 3 options. We're either doing a $8 Dachshund, a $3 Eliminator, or a $3 Field General. Keep in mind, the only one of these 3 we have not done yet is the Dachshund. But that poll is should be coming at you right now. I am on the clock. I'm going to go Javonte, super late buy. And, yeah, just give me 3 running backs in the starting lineup. Let's do that. Maybe don't love his week 1 matchup against the Giants, but still, I need the touches. I need the volume. I'm going to skim through the chat as I try to catch up. Taxon, Tyler Shuck, I think deservedly so. I think you want the Kellen Moore system this year. The Bo Nix disrespect is unreal. Guy is a gamer, going to be one of the top quarterbacks for sure. When you look at his game log, there's a couple games that are elite. I'll give him that. There's like a 37-pointer basically against the Giants that really stands out. But there's a lot of kind of mid games where, yeah, you're not getting like, that much less than like 18 most of the time, but you're also not that often going over like 22. And in this format, like, yeah, I'll take 20 points happily. Don't get me wrong, that's still pretty good. But I'm trying to chase the high-end metric, and it's just not that convincing with Bo Nix. But maybe Jalen Waddle really helps him. Maybe the Broncos offense takes a leap. Maybe his ankle injury crops up again. Maybe the schedule's not too good. Maybe they can't quite handle the first place in the division. But yo, what's up, Fantasy Football Garage? Just seeing you. I was a little, if anything, I might have been pulling a Candyman in terms of my response time for the chat. But what's up, brother? hope to see you soon on a collab soon. Definitely looking forward to that. We've spoken about it, and I'll reach out soon. Excited to see you again. I was born a Cowboys fan. Roger Staubach, jersey number 12, in my Sears Portraits FML. All right, I think I need to go back to receiver. Shit. I'll go Adams. I think Adams is kind of the more like consistently high floor guy just because of the touchdown production. They didn't bring in anyone to replace him. I still think his connection in the red zone is going to be pretty good. So, in a format that rewards touchdowns more than most other stats, I'll go Devontae Adams. Rare time you're live and I'm not about to go to sleep. I guess on Saturday, the bedtime gets pushed typically, you know? I guess on Saturday, maybe you can stay up a little later than typical. But thank you, Nick. Earned the like with the solid breakdown. Appreciate the support. Where are we at on... Yo, we got 71 people watching. This might be a record. Just as I say that, 5 of y'all leave, but holy shit. That was fun to see that for a short window of time. Thank y'all for popping in. If you're new to this, if you're new to the live stream, thank y'all very much for popping in. Consider the like, consider the subscription, but also let me know what you're thinking about this team. We started hyper committed to running back, and in the middle of the board, I felt like that's where the values were, but this is a weird format. A lot of different strategies are still viable, but he's gonna get hurt is the problem. Damn it. Maybe I just go Jalen Waddle, but he did fall. Fuck it. Let's go Mike Evans. I'm worried about the Niners breaking down this year. I really am. Their schedule's not easy. A lot of travel involved, old bodies, the electrical substation nearby, all the cartilage that's just withering away by the second whenever they're in the facility. All of the factors, the Niners are not compelling to stay healthy. They go to Melbourne for week 1. They got to come back from Australia and take on a team on Sunday afternoon. And then mid-season, they got to go to Mexico City and play in the altitude. That's not easy. Last time there was a game supposed to be held there, the field was dog shit. I don't know. I think that Mexico City game could be a nail in the coffin type of game for their health. I'm actually very concerned about their viability down the stretch. Their schedule's also brutal after that Vikings matchup in Mexico City. They have very difficult matchups every single week, starting with that game. So I actually worry about the Niners quite a bit. But here's the thing. We might not make it that far with this team. We're trying to get the payout by, I think it's week 5 is when it starts paying out just a little bit. And then if you can make it to week 7, it's a little bit more interesting. But really, the payout structure's way up top, and who the fuck knows? So we got double San Francisco on this roster, a team I'm kind of worried about, but you know, ultimately the Kyle Shanahan system is one you usually want to trust. But got in the overflow, don't draft and drive kids. Definitely not. Got to be responsible. That's one thing I like about smoking weed when I draft. It locks me into place. I ain't going anywhere, you know? Not legally. Unless I'm in an Uber or in the passenger seat. I am forced to hone in on what I'm doing. But Hallie Lion, got to win early and then hope it works out from there. Yeah. It's really critical that you at least advance early on. You know, nothing matters in week 8 if you don't make it to week 2. Bummer. This is kind of a tough spot, but I don't think Drake May's ever really like a bad pick. That's a pretty consistent option. Late buy for the quarterback position. So, yeah, we'll go Drake May. probably a very consistent top 5, top 10 quarterback most weeks. Not too many quarterbacks can consistently outscore Drake May. So that feels good. This is a round that I typically want to go quarterback. So we start off with Trip running back, CMC, Ken Walker, and Javonte Williams. Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, trusting the veterans. At least week 1, I think they're going to show up. You know, maybe they have a slow start, but they're ready to compete. You'd think so. First time drafting with you, right behind you. Yo, what's up, Jackson? Thanks for watching and hopping in, and good luck to you. The 90s were my best years. Game tight, wondering about a pit bowl. At least not tonight, but probably coming soon. Probably coming soon. How many of the Dachshunds have you entered so far? I've done 2. I've done 1 when we were hosting Goofy Chicken. And then the other one I did was a couple days ago. I was watching the Fantasy Football Roundup. I was in the chat. And he hopped into Dachshund, I joined. And that was an interesting team. I might have gone a little too fragile at wide receiver. I ended up with 6 receivers because I started with 3. I had like Jamar, Nico, and I think Neighbors on that team. And I think I stopped with 6, and my 6th was like Brennan Thompson. I think I pushed the receiver a little too thin in hindsight. Got a little too confident. I had 5 with like Khalil Shakir, I think. But I waited a little too long, I think, on the 6th. I need receiver, and I almost took Alec Pierce in the last round, honestly. So volume is key. He had good points last year, over 1,000 yards, and the volume might, increase by 50%. He might go up to 130 targets this year. So let's take Alec Pierce. The contract says that he will put up the stats as the number 1 target in his Colts system. So we'll go Alec Pierce. A little tricky, but late bye week, so that always helps. Could be worse. I'm slow drafting all my Dachshunds. That's fair. That's not bad. This contest is still relatively open. So I wouldn't mind hanging on to my 2 remaining Dachshunds. At least 1. But if that's what y'all want tonight, that's what we'll do. Looks like the poll right now is favoring the $3 Eliminator. 60% of y'all saying that's what we're going to do. That's what we're in right now. And then the $8 Dachshund is in second place at 33%. It's about 4 votes behind, I believe. I think it's 9-5, and only one of you wants the field general right now. Am I buying the Burden hype? Not really. I mean, like, he's good enough to not have 0. You have to mix him in at times. But if I am going to take him, I'd rather he fall. And at this rate, I'm pretty, like, behind on the field in terms of my Burden exposure. But that's mainly because, like, I have a lot of time to fix it, later on in the year. Like, it's still only May. So I'm still kind of assuming that one day Burden's price will still come down a little bit. And if it doesn't, then, one day I'll just decide, like, all right, I'm done having only 3% Luther Burden. I want to get back up to 8%. But I think I'm rocking with, like, 6% right now. And that's fine. I don't think he's, like, a smash pick, but I'm not completely ignoring him. He's all right, but he could go much closer to Rome Odunze, if not behind Rome Odunze, and I think that's also justified. He had, like, 3 games with negative yards last year. He actually kind of sucked at times, but I'm not sure how valuable the stack is in the Eliminator, but I've definitely set it up, so I'm going to take it. We have Christian McCaffrey and Mike Evans, so 100% it's correlated. And we have a quarterback to cover us in week 8 when Purdy is on bye. We've got 2 running backs for when CMC's on bye. At this point, I'm not going to overreact to any single player's bye week. I think when we drafted this yesterday, the emphasis was on that. But once I looked back on it and took Josh Jacobs over Kenneth Walker, I think I made a mistake. And I think ultimately you can get away with it as long as all of your, players at that position, especially running back when you don't have as many, have different bye weeks. As long as they all have different bye weeks, I think you're going to be fine. So I don't think there's like a set in stone strategy. Obviously, you might want to favor the late bye weeks. I think that's an advantage in and of itself, but it's not the be all end all. I think it's still also important that you mix up the bye week investment. Hated Nix as a prospect, and despite the Broncos, but dudes with Peyton and just keeps getting away with it. Regression proof somehow. That's true. The bet against Sean Payton is probably not wise, but I don't think he's like the quarterback 8 like he was last year. Like that's where we were drafting him with a lot of confidence. I think he's more like quarterback 14. I think that's fair. I think him versus Kyler is a real discussion, and I think I prefer Kyler, to be honest. I don't really like the Bo Nix schedule either. So I think that's how I feel about it. I think I'm going to go Pittman here. I think Addison is valuable, but not as consistent as someone like Michael Pittman. I want a more consistent floor. And as much as I like Jordan Addison, he can disappear at times. I could easily see a week 1 where he's just not quite delivering because his connection with Kyler just isn't as established yet. I would imagine week 1, Kyler just wants to prove like, yeah, I can get the ball to Jefferson pretty well. So I think Pittman will be very involved. They traded for him, and then he's also getting paid over $20 million per year. The Pittman in Pittsburgh, I think, is his presence there is a bit of an indictment on DK Metcalf. Metcalf got suspended down the stretch. He punched a fan. You can't imagine after paying him 30 plus mil, the Steelers ownership and GM were too happy about that. So I think Pittman will really push Metcalf for the wide receiver 1 role. I don't think it's going to be set in stone every week who gets the most targets between him and Metcalf. And for a discount, I actually prefer Pittman's consistency because Metcalf can fully explode. Metcalf can give you a 80-yard house call at any point. He can be hard to cover, but he also does not deliver at times, and he has quite a few stretches where he's very matchup dependent. If he gets a shutdown corner, he kind of sucks sometimes. Just remember all his matchups against Jalen Ramsey if you're not quite familiar. But Pittman is going to get easier coverage than he's ever had. He's always been treated as the number 1 in Indy. This year he'll be treated as the number 2. I think he might have the best quarterback he's ever had in Aaron Rodgers. And typically the Mike McCarthy system is very, very good for fantasy wideouts. So I like Pittman a lot here. I think the floor is pretty valuable given the build I have. I don't have like the strongest receiver room possible, so I think just getting someone in the lineup most weeks and expecting consistent like 50-yard yardage games and hopefully some consistent touchdowns is the way to go. But Addison can probably get you like a 30-point game more reliably than Michael Pittman. I would say Addison has the higher ceiling. Pittman has the higher floor. Fancy Garage says, LOL, I'd be ever further behind in the chat. You're doing great. Appreciate you. I think this maybe have come in like 12 minutes ago, though. This might be 12 minutes behind. Sometimes you're pushing like 20 minutes behind. I'm definitely pushing 10 minutes behind right now. But Goomba says, I don't think early buys are as bad as overlapping buys, but on your high draft capital players. Yeah, the overlapping buys can definitely kill you. I think I played it safe with the last one. I'm gonna swing for upside. Let's swing on the breakout for Matthew Golden. I still don't love my receiver room. I have Drake May and Brock Purdy, so I don't need to force the QB3. I think just getting more bodies in at the wide receiver position is going to be helpful. And Matthew Golden, if he does break out, it's possible he's one of the best picks on the board. Like, in terms of a mispriced, unknown commodity, the round 1 Packer, They never take receiver that high. They can't really afford for that to not work out. They got rid of Romeo Dobbs. They got rid of Dontavian Wicks. They didn't bring in any receiver in the draft. They never do that. They always draft someone. I think their back's against the wall. They either make Matthew Golden work or Gutekunst might get fired or some shit. You know, like, there's a lot of pressure on Matthew Golden to deliver. But not sure. Honestly, who are any of us disbanded? Who are any of us? Nick Constantino, that's the Eliminator ass wide receiver room right there. Sweet. Nick approves. Yo, is that's what's going on? Yeah, we're on the Eliminator right now. Tout on. Am I missing something? I'm using the top chat. Maybe we're missing something that got blocked. I'm not sure. All right. I am on the clock. I mean, Romeo Dobbs is still here. I have Drake May. But I don't have a tight end yet. However, I think it makes sense. I think it makes sense. There's a value to the receiver position that's still viable, and as someone who faded it pretty hard to start this draft, if you told me I got 7 by the next draft and like my next one is like Stephon Diggs or someone, I can stop with that. And then like tight end is not a position I need to be like, you know, the strongest at in the Eliminator. That's definitely not the most critical spot. I think you want some volume, some buys that don't line up, but like, you know, give me Chigo Konko as the tight end 1, and I'm fine with that. Oh God, don't remind me, brother. God, man, that was a bad call. Even last year, I still took him. I still thought that maybe he could do some damage last year. Boy, that reminds me of like a Dylan Laube, something like that. But what up, Shamrock? Welcome in. I think Rogers likes Fryermuth a lot too. I think that is a fairly strong take. I don't think Jonnu Smith ever really worked, but like losing Arthur Smith is like where I think you should be doubling down on Fryermuth. Top chat is so stupid. If y'all are watching, you don't know who Hames is talking about, what I was talking about. Look at the chat and you'll see the settings. There's like 3 sliders. And if you click on that, you have an option to either watch Top Chat, which has a filter on it put in by YouTube, and it does mitigate certain comments that may or may not actually be suitable for all ages. However, if you hit Live Chat, you just get every message unfiltered, and from the sake of like having to interact and engage with the chat, whenever I forget to adjust away from Top Chat over to Live Chat, see all messages, I always regret it. Bionic Donkey says, sorry, my comment was way back when you were talking about San Francisco and the cartilage in proximity to some power plant. Oh, yeah. I'm just entertaining the, you know, it's fun to kind of think about. Okay, it's very tempting here, though, to just take Stephon Diggs. Cam Ward off the board. That's definitely my favorite in this range, so I think I might do that and just call it done at wideout. Like, this is a really, really good receiver room if that's what I do.
Nice and blunt.
I'm gonna do it.
Nice and blunt.
I'm gonna do it. All right. Wide receiver is finished. We wait until round 4 to take Devontae Adams as wide receiver 1, but also have Mike Evans, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., Matthew Golden, Romeo Dobbs, and Stephon Diggs. It's all about depth in the Eliminator. And if I'm going to get away with 7, I want to be stopping around where Diggs is going. Wide receiver gets fucking gross moving forward. So, I'm not telling you that every team you draft should be like this. I'm not even sure if this is going to work. But for the sake of today's drafting exercise, it looks like we'll do another Eliminator after this if the poll results hold. But at least for today, you know, I want to try something different. We go 3 straight wideouts. I haven't drafted a tight end yet, but in my remaining 8 rounds, or 9 rounds, yeah, I think 9 rounds, we take 7 wideouts and 2 quarterbacks. It's a lot of orange. 4 straight wideouts the last 4 rounds. So everything but receiver going forward, and I'm still looking for my tight end 1. But Flyfish, I have a bag of Freiermuth, but my biggest worry is he didn't gel with Rodgers that great last year. That is fair. It was a little bit more crowded than you would think. But where else are you going to go for tight end targets? Are you really going to trust Darnell Washington? I don't think I would do that. So from the standpoint of like who's going to run the most routes, who's going to be getting those designed plays in Mike McCarthy's system, if you recall, there were some stretches where Jake Ferguson was really putting up very consistent output in the Mike McCarthy system. He was actually a very good tight end with Mike McCarthy. So I think Freiermuth will get over some of those dilemmas, and nobody had the bigger spike week than Freiermuth. Last year against the Bengals, his 2 touchdown game with over 100 receiving yards, he was fucking awesome in that game. So highest upside, I think, for sure. I would have liked Pacheco. I'll be honest. Pacheco would have been very, very nice for me, in all honesty. I could go Hunter Henry. The stack is there. However, I think Chigo Okonkwo could be better. I really do. I'm going to take Chig Okonkwo. I mentioned it. I think Chig as the tight end 1 can be viable and just fine. Hunter Henry would have made a lot of stacking sense, but it's the Eliminator. If we also get a really bad game out of Drake May, then that means we also get a terrible game out of Hunter Henry. And I don't think you have to be stacking endlessly in this format. Every now and then, go for it. But I don't think it needs to be the end-all, be-all with every pick. Why not put Bulldog on the poll for next draft? Because the Pitbull, I don't want to drop $20. That's the reason. We were in a BBM yesterday. Tomorrow, perhaps, but for the sake of the bankroll, that is the answer. It's all about advancing week 1 in the Eliminator. Yeah, just let the gods decide your fate. Try and advance the first few rounds. Yeah, I mean, this one is pretty obvious. You know, I would imagine all of y'all would just click on Big Dog and then refuse to enter. That's what I would imagine. But holy shit, we cracked 80 concurrent viewers for once. I think this is a record tonight. I genuinely think this might be a record. So, damn, y'all are coming through. Thank y'all for joining. Let's recap the team, shall we? In this Eliminator, we started with 3 straight running backs. We have not taken one since. We have 2 quarterbacks. They're Drake May and Brock Purdy. Those 3 running backs were Christian McCaffrey, Kenneth Walker, and Javonte Williams. I have 7 wideouts. I have Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, Alec Pierce, Michael Pittman Jr., Matthew Golden, Romeo Doubs, and Stephon Diggs. The floor is always going to be there. I'm not worried about depth on this roster at all, despite waiting a little bit. But tight end, we waited the longest. We got Chig Okonkwo as tight end 1, and I think he's good enough to be just fine. Not too shabby so far. Question is, do I take a 3rd quarterback? I would have liked Rodgers. Super Beast grabbed him at 155. Now Geno's off the board, so we're not really locking up any guarantees. However, Jacoby Brissett will start the year. As I'm saying that, I'm reminded he is in a contract dispute at the moment, so maybe even not. Might not even do that. In that case, I'm going to go Dalton Schultz. Probably the most consistent, best floor play at tight end you could possibly find. I'm going to go Dalton Schultz because that's not a position I want to forget about. Let's go with Dalton Schultz. All right. We have Looks like we're at 51 likes. Appreciate you, Fancy Dog. If we get to 60, we will take a rip from the pipe. If we get to 60, that is when I will repack it. I will clear this pipe and we'll pack it again for our next draft. 60 likes and we will pack another bowl for y'all. Thank you, Disbanded. Congrats on a great night so far. I would love a team review at the end for sure, Jackson. I think this is the first time you're with us, so absolutely. A-Rod says, my Underdog app glitched on my last 2 rounds and didn't take the players I had queued. Is that the Charbonnet click? Or is that the Daniel Jones-Gadsden click? The Gadsden at 148 is pretty good. Gadsden there, not bad. But I think we might mix up the music. We've had this rolling for quite a while. So I think I'm going to fade out on this soundtrack. And I think we're going to bring in another one. It was the Daniel Jones-Gadsden. Honestly, maybe you didn't need those players specifically. You already had Josh Allen, Tyler Shuck. But having the third quarterback in this I don't think is terrible. Not the best click, but not terrible. And then Gadsden at a very good price. Your second tight end, also not bad. Not terrible either. Not sure how valuable Mendoza is early on, but down the stretch for sure. However, Emmanuel Wilson probably has some footing week 1. I would imagine he probably helps out early in the year. So I'll go Emmanuel Wilson finally getting back in at running back. That's absolutely a position of need. I have 4 clicks left. If anything, I want 3 of them to be running back. So I'll do that. Here's a question. Can I get away with Chig and Dalton Schultz? Or do I need a third? I think that's a big question. Is Chig and Dalton Schultz enough for yours truly? They're okay, but I think it'd be good to have number 3. But I kind of feel like I need 6 running backs because I waited so long for my RB4. Like, these 3 are nice, but boy, my depth is thin. You know, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. My depth at running back is thin. So I kind of feel compelled that not just one of these 3 clicks is running back, but 2 of them are. And then if I take a third tight end, there's no way I'm taking a third quarterback. I might consider a very specific option. There's only one name I'm kind of interested in this format, to be honest with you. Fancy Dog says tight end is not enough to leave the pod. Yeah, didn't feel like the best. Disbanded says, I'm about to smoke some Iron Maiden. That sounds nice. And honestly, looks like we got up to 54 likes, I think. If we hit 55, I'll take I want to smoke from the pipe. So, fuck it. Honestly, to get 50 plus likes during the stream is quite an accomplishment for me. So, I'm pretty happy with it. I don't need to hold y'all hostage for a smoke break, especially when I'm holding myself hostage. Looks like we hit it. Sweet. Sweet. We had 77 viewers and 55 likes when I took that hit. That's definitely a good omen. Appreciate you, Who Ames. Excited to be on with you tomorrow. And I think we're going to go with Freiermuth. Very, very safe pick. A little shocked the Aaron Rodgers drafter passed, but having the third tight end, I think, is the way to go on this team. And I'm willing to push that quarterback name one more round. Not convinced it's necessary. Now, the thing is, Brock Purdy is injury prone. Brock Purdy does miss time pretty consistently. So, if anything, drafting Mac Jones is not like the worst idea imaginable. I think it's just a structural question of, can I get away with 5 running backs or do I need 6? And is there even the third quarterback that I want available to me? So only 2 clicks left. one running back minimum. It's either the second running back or the third QB. But looking at the board, DJ Giddens goes in this one. Don't see him that high, let alone drafted at all too often. So that's pretty interesting. That team does not have Jonathan Taylor. Maybe just looking for the bye week. I'm not quite sure. Maybe just getting different. But Sosky going Cooper Kupp. Notable. And DJ Giddens as well. About to be on the clock. I mean, if you're going to leave him here for me, I will take him. Now, here's the thing. The quarterback I think has value in this is Tua, because I think he will start the year in Atlanta. But this is so on brand. Maybe I should just do it. But here's the thing. Tank is not getting the ball forever. Actually, no. Tank is actually a bad click in this. And just because I wasn't really thinking it through too much, let's just go with who I think will be on the field week 1 in Atlanta. You know, give me another bullet in the chamber. Tua, I think, will be the starter week 1. Absolutely. Until he gets concussed, I don't think he's going to lose the job. I think they'll be competitive enough to keep him, and maybe he sucks, but I think he is probably better than Michael Penix. Probably. So I do like his value in this format a lot. I'd rather take Tua than Mendoza. I'd rather take Cousins than Mendoza, probably. I think for the sake of just like making sure I have points, I think Mac Jones is someone that you can actually consider with Brock Purdy, in theory, if you need that third quarterback. Because the only problem with Brock Purdy is that he misses time. So if you're telling me you need a quarterback to fill in for Brock Purdy when he does go down, why not Mac Jones? You know, it's the final round. It's worth thinking about. I wouldn't do it all the time, but if you feel really desperate for QB3, don't think it's egregious. But Nick likes the tight end room, just built that one too. It's affordable, it's very cheap, and I think in this format, the volume is really safe to trust. I think it's a safe way to go. With upside and floor built in. There's just a lot of volume for all three. Maybe not the most consistent touchdown output, but you know, they can mix and match. One week, hopefully they don't all hit the end zone. Hopefully it's scattered. As long as it's scattered, then you'll be okay. This strain I grew out from seed is dope as fuck. Definitely a keeper. That sounds awesome. Every time I've tried to grow myself, I can't really get it to thrive. I've never tried to grow it indoors, but it's just not quite the move. And you know what? If we miss any time at a Christian McCaffrey, we better have his handcuff. I think I trust Jordan James a little bit more. You know, I think it's kind of like the Jordan Mason situation. When Mason delivered, I was drafting Garendo that year. I was believing that the third round rookie that Shanahan just drafted, the new man in town, he's got the driver's seat, he's got the path to be the number 2. And then McCaffrey goes down, you know, doesn't even play week 1, and they trust the guy that's been in the locker room. They trust the guy that's been in the system, that's developed under the coaching staff and has reps in practice at a much higher clip than the rookie. And in this instance, I believe in San Francisco, Jordan James is going to be the RB2 in San Francisco. I've been kind of giving it a little bit of time. The more I think about it, the more I've heard about it. It seems like Jordan James will probably be the running back 2 in San Francisco. So this team is hyper reliant on Christian McCaffrey hitting the lineup. If he misses any time, I better fucking fill it in with his handcuff. So right now, let's bet on Jordan James. Maybe I'll pivot to Kalen Black down the stretch in the summer, but at the moment, I'm feeling Jordan James is the RB2 in San Francisco that you want. So I have the week 5 bye with Walker, but if I somehow get past that, I'll be in phenomenal shape. Javonte can cover for both of them during their bye weeks. He's not off the field till week 14. And if I can miraculously make it to week 5, I still have to finish only top 2 out of 3. Think we can get away with it. The receiver room is really deep. I think I have the most depth in terms of top 7 of anybody. There's nobody with more than 7. And I was the first one to hit 7. I was the first one to hit like 5. So maybe you want more running back depth, but I already had 3 for the starting lineup. I'm just committing that CMC, Ken Walker, and Javonte are correct. And boy, I don't usually do this, but we waited for running back for a very long time. Shout out Goofy Chicken Fantasy. This seems like a type of build he would honestly get behind to really lock in 3 running backs early, then wait forever and finish with 5. Feel like we made our boy Jaron proud, hopefully. Maybe he's watching on the replay. Maybe we'll send this one to him. But I like this team. I think this team is fun. We wound up with Drake May, Brock Purdy. We did take Tua, who I think will start week 1 for the Falcons. CMC, Ken Walker, Javonte Wilson, and Jordan James. Maybe not enough options. And perhaps week 8, only having 3 to play could be a difficult path. But I think Emmanuel Wilson helps us out in this format. Devontae, Mike Evans, Alec Pierce, Pittman, Golden, Dobbs, Diggs. Feel like that's very balanced, good depth. Chig, Okonkwo, Dalton Schultz, and Pat Freiermuth. Feels pretty safe for the price. All right, I'm happy with that. We'll take a look at Sosky because I don't think I reviewed his team in the last one. I think I forgot to do that. Caleb, Jared Goff, and Malik Willis, very solid. Gibbs, Rico, Keaton, Kimani, DJ Giddens, both Chargers handcuffs. Betting against Hampton, not my favorite thing to do, but unique, fairly unique. If it works out, good luck. Wide receiver, A.J. Brown, Chris Olave, Lad McConkey, Quentin Johnston, Jalen Naylor, Cooper Kupp, and Trey Harris. You did not have Herbert, but you took a shit ton of Chargers. Not a bad strategy. Colston Loveland, Juwan Johnson, and A.J. Barner, very good tight end room. Yeah, running back is kind of questionable, but Gibbs and Rico hitting the lineup every week is probably good enough. Rico might start slow, however. I will say that about Rico. In this format, maybe not as excited about Rico. In a bit more fragile settings, but you have Gibbs. If you make it past week 6, I think you're in business. Good luck, though. I think week 1 could be tough. Filling out RB2. Let's take a look at Jackson, who requested the team review. We got Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, Cam Ward, Travis, DeAndre Swift, Tony Pollard. Pretty solid volume. Jonah Coleman, Dylan Sampson, and Justice Hill. Some handcuffs that could be worthless, but, need to take some swings. Need the depth. Amon-Ra, Drake London, Waddle and Mekhi Lemon, Darnell Mooney, Tesla, and Wicks. So good first 4. A lot hinging on these 3. But odds are I think you can get by with St. Brown and London and Waddle. Tight end, though, with Pitts and Kelsey. I feel like the only thing I'm not super in love with is the depth at running back and the bench depth at receiver. The bench plays at these 2 positions, I prefer it at wide receiver. I think it makes more sense at wide out. But running back scares me a little bit. Just a little bit. Just a tiny bit. But pretty good team, Jackson. Pretty solid across the board. And you don't have Dak stacked up with anyone, but this is not really the format I think you have to stack. So I'm not totally sure if it's something you need or not in the Eliminator. I'm really not quite sure about my take on that. All right. I'm going to skip you, Super Beast. We reviewed it last time. Sorry, but Dev is in here with Justin Herbert, CJ Stroud, Ashton Genty, Omarion Hampton, David Montgomery, Chris Rodriguez, B-Rob, and Braylon Allen. Pretty good running back room. I'm not too fond of Allen, but he has a late bye, and he probably gets, a decent bulk of like 8 touch games, something like that. Could be worse. Ted McMillan, Roma Dunze, Carnell Tate, Wandale Robinson, Jaden Higgins, Debo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. You might get a 0, though, with Brandon Ayuk. That's not a player I would reach on in this setting. I think Ayuk is really risky, because the problem with Ayuk, especially in this, is that the Niners control his destiny, and they're going to drag him over the coals and make sure he doesn't actually sign until the last minute with somebody else. They will keep him on the roster until like mid-August before they cut him. I don't think he's going to get a full training camp with anyone. The Niners absolutely feel scorned, and that bridge has been burned. So Ayuk, even if he does sign somewhere, which is kind of hard to expect, he's not going to have a lot of reps in camp, and it's going to take him a minute to learn the playbook. So I really worry week 1 for Ayuk. You're not counting on him because he's the last guy on the bench, but I think he could be really worthless in this format. You never know. You might actually need the end of your bench to do something week 1. It is possible. Harold Fannin, Gunnar Helm, Mason Taylor. So the high-end option. And then 2 late guys. Fannin can still keep falling, though. I've seen Fannin consistently past pick 100. I think it's time we stop taking Fannin in the 80s. So there are some things I really like about this team. Like running back feels awesome. Receiver feels pretty solid. You do not have Cam Ward. You got the double stack set up, but no Cam Ward. And yeah, it's just maybe the quarterback depth is thin, but you have Herbert, so it's all good. That covers all your bases, and running back is really, really set. So this team is still very viable despite my complaints. I'm only going to do one more at random. I think we're going to do Albie because Albie is a member. Albie has a membership. He's a part of the blunt rotation. Jaden Daniels, Kyler Murray, Fernando Mendoza. Pretty solid there. Chase Brown, Kyron Williams, RJ Harvey, Woody Marks, and Ray Davis. Ray Davis, worthless until he's not. Woody Marks, kind of worthless all the time. And then RJ Harvey, probably okay early in the year, but will fade, I think, once Coleman delivers. Wide receiver, though, has CeeDee Lamb, Egbuka, J-Mo, Jaden Reed, Ricky Pearsall, Omar Cooper, Antonio Williams. Some big boom-bust options here, like J-Mo, Jaden Reed, and even Ricky Pearsall to a certain extent. They scare me in this format. It's not that they're not bad players, but I think they are names that deserve to fall because when they play well, it's usually followed up by kind of a dud. They disappear at times, and that's where, you still need to win the week, but they can also really contribute to you losing the week. So the disappearing act is something I'm not as fond of in the Eliminator. I love these names as picks, but kind of a weird spot to like force them into the lineup all the time. But falling to 56 with J-Mo, I think the field understands what you're getting involved with. And then Jaden Reed, probably worth the risk at that point. At 89, the upside's so high, it's probably fine. Tight end, though, Andrews and Brenton Strange, Colby Parkinson, pretty fair tight end room. Yeah, no big complaints, maybe just RJ Harvey and Woody Marks. I think Harvey should really fall. I think Harvey should go probably closer to Kenneth Gainwell if I'm being completely honest. Because now that Jonah Coleman is there, the upside argument for RJ Harvey that used to, was definitely the case last year. We saw it when Dobbins went down. Harvey was locked in to so much volume every week. You just had to start him. He was like clearly a top 12, top 15 play, even if he didn't put up those numbers, because when he hit, he was going like 20 points, 18 points. He's involved in the passing game, and he was scoring touchdowns very consistently. However, he had the backfield all to himself. This year, that's not the case. When Dobbins goes down, Jonah Coleman slides right in. Harvey is not in the same situation as last year. So I think he should be going after J.K. Dobbins. He never proved he was able to keep J.K. Dobbins off the field above him. And so I think he's overpriced as the RB1 in Denver. Yes, Dobbins might go down. He deserves to be kind of discounted, but Jonah Coleman will slide in, and that was not the case last year. Harvey is losing value, and it hasn't quite... the ADP hasn't fallen and adjusted quickly enough, if you ask me. Wide receiver, though, talented. I hope you get the right weeks to hit with this group. All right. I think that might be the last one I review. I think we already looked at game types team. Same with underdogs, anonymous. Libra's in here all the time. I kind of want to maybe just move on. It's getting a little late. I want to hit the next draft. We have 60 likes. No offense. I think we're just going to move on. We have 59%. The poll has decided the $3 Eliminator is what we are drafting once again. So I am French, so definitely I get a little advantage because of that cultural heritage. If you want less EV, if you want a tougher battle to go against the Frenchman in the Frenchie, be my guest. But let's just remind everyone what we're getting into real fast. Week 1, you have the chance to get cut. If you don't finish top 6, you are out in week 1. In week 2, we enter a 3-person group, and you don't have to finish first. You can finish second, but you can't finish third. If you finish last, you are out yet again. In week 3, that happens one more time. And then in week 4, I think this asterisk signifies that is finally when the payout does begin. So there is going to be half of this tournament knocked out immediately, another third knocked out the week after, another third after that, and then only when a third is removed once again after week 4 do you finally get some money. You get your buy-in back starting week 5. That's when the bye weeks kick in. So it's a fair game before the bye weeks. But you want to make a profit. So every week you advance, you get a little bit more. $5 the next week, up to $8. Nothing special. With 10, 12, 15, 18 the next week. Even week $20. Maybe not. That's not the best thing in the world. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Week 13, you're only getting $25. Week 14, $50. Week 15, closer to $90. And then down the stretch, we are hopefully making the final where we at least get $1,000. But $5,000 for second, $10K to first. It's kind of all concentrated up top. It's really how long can you last in this format. So keep that in mind. Maybe it's not worth maxing. This is only going to be my 4th entry into this. I don't think I'm going to do more than 5, honestly, because it's tough to even make $200, let alone 15. Is it really worth spending $60 in this tournament? Maybe that's what you want to do. I don't think I'm going to do more than 5. This is my 4th. Let's hop in, though. In 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Instant fill. I hope you hopped in while I was counting down. There is a lag, and we're on OBS today. So the lag is actually shorter than it is on StreamYard. We get a top 3 pick. I'm happy with that. I'm good with that. Let's go. But now that we're officially drafting, let's bring in our music again. We're going to shift up the soundtrack. We're going to go to a different one. And here we are. This is the main theme song, I would say. This is the main soundtrack for the Nice and Blunt drafts. Let's go. It's 9:40 p.m. I need some water. But feeling good. Excited once again. And let's take a look who got in here. Sosky in all 3 tonight. What's good, brother? Thanks for hopping in again. We got Mark DePalma at the 102. Let me know if you're watching. I am at the 103. Mick. Something that might get me banned at the 104. Not going to fall into that. We got Stormtrooper at the 105. Ant-Man G at the 106. Pepper Tony. Sorry, not today. Not when Jamar Chase is on the board. I will just take my Jamar Chase exposure and be on my merry way. Happy to get that. Archimedes at the 107. Colton Slavey at the 108. Jackson Duffy in here again at the 109. Hyung Q at the 110. Matt Marvel at the 111. And then FF Padawan at the 112. Young Padawan with the bookend. Boy, Team 4 is trying to get you banned if you say that. I ship clones. I might be interested disbanded. There's a chance. There's a chance. I imagine you're on X, on Twitter, with the same name. I didn't take Fryermuth because I had my sight set on Tonjes, Cuff with Kittle, and didn't want 4 tight ends. Very legit. That is a very good strategy, Keith. I respect that. What's up, Hulk Smash Potatoes? Why would Rico start so low? Because I do think there's a bit of a in-the-building commitment to Jalen Warren. Kind of similar to last year where there was, Chuba Hubbard in his contract keeping Rico off the field. But there's a chance that Rico just steals the job in camp because it's a new coaching staff. Maybe there's no allegiance to Jalen Warren. But I think in the locker room, I could see week 1, they just don't full fade Jalen Warren until it's pretty clear and obvious that Rico is much better. I think Rico will kind of always look better, but I just think it's going to take a few weeks to cement his status as the best clear snap share usage rate running back in Pittsburgh. I think week 1, it'll be closer to a Jalen Warren snap share lead as opposed to week 5, week 7, week 8. I think by October, Rico will take hold, but early in the year, I think his value is a little bit less for that reason, because I think Jalen Warren has more early season value. That's my take on it. That's why I think that. Is Rico's floor 7 touchdowns, or is that his ceiling? No, I would say his ceiling is more 11 or 12 touchdowns. I think in a best case scenario, the Steelers offense actually looks pretty good, and they do have some touchdown production. So I think best case scenario, it's more 11. Wow, Allen that early is kind of notable, but I'll just take running back. Fuck it. There's a huge run on the position right before this, so why not? I have Jamar Chase, so let's just get a running back and move on with our day. Breece Hall at pick 23. This is going to be fun if running back goes here. I hope Sosky, damn it, for the sake of the color palette, you should have gone with a running back at pick 24, but you go double wide out. That's fair. If you weren't going to take the position, might as well not force it. But I kind of wanted to see not a single orange player in round 2. That would have been fun. Here I am, though. Yeah, just give me Travis. Week 8 bye. Not going to panic about that. We got to make it there first. So let's just take good players and try to get different bye weeks. But you're welcome, Jackson. Appreciate you drafting with us. A-Rod says, can I get a review? I think my first 3 rounds are a little too aggressive. I will check that out, A-Rod, for sure. If you request it, I got time, so let me do that. I'll leave this board up, actually, though. My bad. I can check that out. We were just in the Frenchie Eliminator. A-Rod, you are Underdogs Anonymous, correct? I believe I'm doing that correctly. This is Underdog Anonymous's team with Allen. You started too aggressive at receiver. Let's see. Jamar, Bowers, Allen, Bucky, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison, Ramondre, Blake Corum, Kenneth Gainwell, Tyler Shuck, Tyrone Tracy, Daniel Jones, Gadsden, Sharps, Judy, Stribling, Branch, and Coleman. Yeah, running back does feel a little desperado. But you do have both Bucky and Kenneth Gainwell. Ramondre could come in clutch, but Corum is kind of hard to trust. And then Tracy, a little tough. Sharbs there, doesn't help you for a very long time, especially in the Eliminator. Sharbs is not a pick I want to make at all. So, yeah, a little bit odd. But you start off with like really elite onesies. I think for how it went, yeah, maybe you could have taken a Travion or Bishal Tootin. But I think you made out okay. I think it's not too bad. I would have gone with Blake Corum and Kenneth Gainwell there probably as well, if I was stuck with that. But we're about to be back on the clock. Let's lock in. Egbuka is available. I kind of want to go with Adams again, honestly. Like, legitimately, I kind of feel like Adams is a bit more safe and consistent. I don't know why. I've kind of been like... There's been some FOMO lately on my Adams exposure. The more I think about it, I feel like Adams is a player I don't want to bet against. He was definitely one of my highest picked players last year. And maybe I'm off base here, but like, if you tell me he has the same role that he did last year, how many fewer touchdowns can he actually score? Like, is his floor still like 12 touchdowns? No one's keeping him off the field. There is some trade rumors going on, though, with A.J. Brown. Okay, what's crazy is this format seems to really favor the quarterback position for some reason. Allen went round 2, Lamar Jackson, ADP 43 in this. We have him at 51. Fuck it. I'll go Lamar Jackson. His bye is in week 13. So somebody really overspent on Josh Allen in this one. We get Lamar at a discount, and it seems like in this format, for whatever reason, he's finally being drafted at an appropriate price. He should be a 4th-round pick ultimately. Nice. But people fuck around. He falls into the late 5th, and now it's like, should I just try to push him to round 6 or something? Feels weird with Lamar. Got to roll the dice with Ayuk. I'm willing to not do that. I don't think it's worth it at this point in time. Not my best, not my worst. Appreciate the feedback as always, big guy. You're welcome. As always, you are welcome, Albie. It took me 2 years to get the Eliminator the way the rules are right now. It's not the most straightforward, but it's kind of just confusing when you make money a little bit. And like, when is it really worth it in terms of just getting your money back with a single entry, as opposed to even making a big profit. Like, it's pretty tough to make more than $100 in this tournament. Best background music in the biz. Appreciate you. Thank you, Jamie. All the kudos goes to Jamie. He's the one that sent it my way, and I am very grateful for it. It is unique. It is special, and I do like it quite a bit. My phone broke recently, and my new screen sensitivity is ass. That's never fun. Yeah, with Chase, I don't think I'm going to pull up H-Hand there, but Gibbs 101, Chase 102, thoughts. It's not insane. Because the thing about Bijan, he's more likely to get you 25 points every week, but he's also less likely to go over, 30 points any given week. If you want the best ball skill set, Bijan might not quite fit the 101 description for what this contest and what this website is really about. So I don't hate it. I think I would structurally just stick with Bijan in the top 2, because it's tough to get a running back that you really feel good about coming back around. The depth really dries up mid-second round, and it's just not the same in round 3. So receiver, you get the pick of the litter. You get to take whoever you want once again at the next turn. I think I would still take running back when you have to wait 20 spots, but it's only for structural reasons. Is it the right pick ultimately? You might be right here, Peppertoni. I wouldn't be shocked if Jamar Chase was actually more valuable than Bijan Robinson. But what's up, GAB? What's up, Young Moolah? How we doing? Just missed again. Overflow room very strong. Yeah, the EV around here with the viewers can get really tough sometimes. But shit, I don't really like this. However, you know what I fucking love? The Saints are at Detroit week 1. That is going to be a shootout. The Saints are either going toe-to-toe with the Lions. It's not the bet I really want to make. Or they got a shit ton of garbage time, and I don't really trust the Lions defense to keep them in check. So I think Jordan Tyson has tremendous upside, and I think he can deliver as early as week 1. Love his matchup. I think he has another good I think he might have the Ravens, though, a couple weeks later. I think week 3 he's against the Ravens. So maybe not that game, but week 1 at Detroit, I think the Saints are going to play really well. I have another New Orleans Saint on this team, so that also was in my mind when I took Travis. The Saints at Detroit, I think, is a great week 1 spot. Haven't memorized the schedule, but that game stands out to me early on. I think I'll just take Rico Dowdle. Chuba with a week 5 bye, already a player I don't really believe in. I think Rico's more valuable. I'm going to go Rico Dowdle here because I don't want to fall behind at running back on the last draft. We did stop with Javonte as our 3rd and never really look back, but I only have 2 up to this point. It's not as good as the last running back room, so don't want to fall behind too much. Tony Pollard went pick 61, and I have Rico in the same tier as Tony Pollard, so no other player I think is better than Rico at running back remaining. I will stick to my ranks. I will favor that position here, and I will take Rico Dowdle. Running back, what is it? 30 off the board? Running back 30. I think he is more like RB22, RB23. And I think once he really establishes himself as the guy in Pittsburgh, I think on a week-to-week basis, his average output will be more like RB15, RB16. I think on the season, he's more like RB22. But like I said, I still think Jaylen Warren will have a role week 1 a bit more than he will at the end of the year. So maybe Rico needs to ramp up week 1 to really hit our lineup at his full potential. But I am on Twitter, also Nice and Blunt. You can check me out there. I almost never post over there, only let y'all know when I'm going live, basically. I am not really active on Twitter. I'm just listening. Do we need some modding? I think we're okay. Dowdle played for McCarthy. He did, Who Hames. And, I mean, if there's ever a Rico Dowdle, truther, believer, it's me. I might have some of the highest exposure to Rico in the game. I'll put my Rico exposure up against anyone's. I think it's pretty fucking high. But I do kind of think he's going to have to earn his stripes a little bit like he did last year. I don't think it's just going to be week 1 locked in. He's the guy. If that's the case, I would love it. If that is the case, holy shit. I am printing cash with Rico Dowdle. Wilson, what's up, fellas? Thanks for hopping in. Appreciate you joining us tonight. I feel like it's been a minute since I've seen you, but thanks for entering. You usually leave comments as well, so really appreciate that, buddy. Thanks for joining us. Colton saying, yo, I'm here at pick 8. Cheers to you. Cheers to you as well. I think we'll take a rip. There's just a little bit left in the pipe. Kraft falling here to pick 94. I mean, I guess this is his ADP, but yeah, I don't mind that at all. I'll take that. And then the question is, do I just get back in at quarterback here? Or do I get some depth at receiver? Because it might look ugly. We do have Lamar. It's kind of tough. I'm not really sure which direction to go in. Kenneth Gainwell goes. Would have liked Kenneth Gainwell. Mahomes off the board. Fuck it. I think I'm going to push. But where to go? I think QJ speaks to me. Down speaks to me. Myers is interesting. But I think I'm going to go Josh Downs. That one was tough. But QJ disappears at times. A week 7 bye. Downs, I think, is a little bit more of a good floor play. And it's a wide receiver 4. The up and down nature of Jordan Tyson, nothing really proven. I don't want to risk a bad game from Quentin Johnston. When he has a bad one, it's really bad. Like, he can give you 2 points after putting up like 25 the week before. He's like a real Mike Williams doppelganger in that sense. So I'll just go Josh Downs. I think they're both fair clicks in that range, but much later bye, definitely helpful. Also, wide receiver 2, more of a floor play. I'll take Josh Downs, but I'm not sure I made the perfect choice there. That one was tough. Whether it was Josh Downs versus QJ or even just taking a quarterback, that one was a tough call. But I'm glad I got Tucker Kraft at least. I think that was a fair click. Running back has been steamed up, so I also considered Chris Rodriguez. In all honesty, I wasn't set on where I was going to go. But Disbanded says good call. I think so, but we'll see. Just joined the stream. Hello, Anthony. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm getting to that point in the stream. Let's see. We're over the 2-hour mark. My voice asking for some relief. I am still going to hit the pipe, though. I don't care. That's what the water's for. And this is our last draft, though. This is our last one. But Bijan is the floor, Gibbs is the ceiling. I agree. If you're in redraft and you want the safer pick, take Bijan. If you want to really swing for the fence, go with Gibbs. Any given week, if I can only have one, I think I'd rather be starting Gibbs than Bijan. But they're both really, really good. There's nothing to really complain about with either pick. If anything, you know, the lower floor for Gibbs is perhaps a pitfall you want to avoid. If one of them is going to kind of disappear with only like 8 points in a random week, it is Jahmyr Gibbs. There are some times when he actually does get shut down by the opposing defense. It doesn't happen too often, but I vividly remember ranking Gibbs in the top 3, and he puts up kind of a dud, doesn't find the end zone. But that's when David Montgomery really like showcases his upside that week. That's probably not going to be the case this year with Pacheco alongside him. So it's probably not a big problem for him at all this year. However, it looks like quarterback is not going to make it back with too much value if I get sniped here. Actually, I don't. So it did work out for me. I have 2 New Orleans Saints on this team. We're getting Tyler Shuck. Beautiful. Let's go. We got that New Orleans double combo. Travis Etienne Jr. and Jordan Tyson. 2 new acquisitions to the offense. The reason to be so hyped on Tyler Shuck is because the offense got some saviors coming in. They had such little depth last year, and they were still looking pretty impressive down the stretch. So love the Jordan Tyson acquisition. Love that for them. He's super talented, really high upside. And then Travis is capable of like really dominating a given game. Travis can drop like a 30-pointer, but we're at pick 123. Ricky Pearsall's still on the board. I think I have to. As much as I kind of want to take Jonathan Brooks, I think I just have to take the discount on Ricky Pearsall. It's just such a good price. We were invested in the Niners on the last one with everyone but Ricky Pearsall, and this is just such a big discount. I think I just got to take him at pick 123. That's, you know, sometimes a risky play, but last year when he was healthy, he was actually crushing early on. It was only when he got hurt that he sucked. So I don't really understand why Ricky Pearsall just fell to pick 123. I know why I didn't take him. I needed quarterback and I had Shuck double stacked. But Ricky Pearsall at 123, I'd rather have him than Romeo Dobbs for sure. Shakir, I understand in this format has a good floor, but like still, I think I'd rather have Pearsall. So thanks for the gift. I kind of felt bad passing on him earlier with Shuck, but let's go. I'm litty like a titty right now. I'm about to smoke one more bowl and take one more shot, then lay it down. I'll join you, brother. You've earned it. All right. Cheers to Disbanded Brotherhood. It says he's going live for the first time tomorrow, so check out his channel. Give him a pop in, say hello. Let's support our fellow streaming community brethren. And Disbanded has been in these lobbies for quite some time. Supported the channel, a member of the channel. Really appreciate you being part of the blunt rotation. That's what that green username means. And a salute to you, my friend. Appreciate you. Lol Samo says, late to the party. What we drafting? We are in the Frenchie Eliminator. This is our second Frenchie Eliminator of the night. And then our first one, I believe, was a Field General. So I think this is our last draft. We're coming into round 12. So still 7 more picks. But I will assure you, I believe this is my last draft of the evening. Yeah, I assume the channel name was the same name. But if it's different, let us know, and everyone check that out. I'm definitely putting it on the calendar. We also got a live stream with Who Hames tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, and that'll be a lot of fun too. I still don't have tight end, so I could take the fall on Kincaid. Not in love with it. I kind of want to go Cam Ward a little bit. Actually, I probably should have taken Daniel Jones, but whoops, ran out of time. Shit, my running back room is kind of bad. However, this team has an excuse. We have Kraft earlier on. I do have the elite tight end on this one, so I can still push the position. I'm glad I did not take Kincaid there. I don't think that was necessary at all. At least with Cam Ward, you know, I'm getting the third quarterback. I'm getting the solid advance piece. I probably should have just taken, though, Daniel Jones with Josh Downs on this team. But I could see early in the season Tyler Algier have a slightly more involved role in Arizona. Fuck it. He's a late buy. I'll take Tyler Algier. I've ignored running back a little much on this one, but Josh Jacobs, Travis Achan, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier. Our receiver room is pretty loaded with Chase, Adams, Tyson, Downs, Pearsall. Tight end room has Tucker Kraft. This team can 100% afford going back to running back, even if it's a slight reach on ADP. If there's a position of need that's probably built up at this point, it is running back. So that was kind of forced. There were some good tight end prices around that turn. Even Juwan Johnson would have been a good click, but it wasn't in the cards. But if you told me I made it out with Sosky's combo of Daniel Jones, Juwan Johnson, I think I would have liked that turn a little bit more. I think that would have been better. Because we had Shuck, another Saint, makes sense. And then Daniel Jones pairs up with Josh Downs. Cam Ward is not stacked at all. Finally, on my last pick in the slow draft. Okay, I think I called it perfectly. I think I told you it was going to end on Saturday or Sunday. I think I called it perfectly. Wish I could start doing lives. I could get site credits if I did. You can. I mean, it's not guaranteed. You might also get sold out for site credits. Some of these, you might be used as a way to acquire site credits if you start live streaming. That is also a possibility. You may be somebody else's path to acquire said site credits. But if I recall, Best Ball Guy has already acquired site credits as well. Anthony, after the stream, I will be doing a field general, most likely. We're getting some odd comments in a different language. We are going to remove a user. All right. Doing some chat mitigation there. Which means I have to reset my filter. So I'll make this pick and then I'll get the chat back up for the comments to be broadcasted on the screen. But we had to get rid of someone spamming the chat. Had no idea what they're saying in another language. This team, I think, could use Brenton Strange. I think Strange helps this roster. Getting back in at tight end, I think, makes some sense. Perhaps that wasn't the most coveted position, but I see Sosky with only one tight end as well, and I don't want to risk it. Even Mark DePalma grabs a tight end. So I think that was ultimately a player that would not have made it back. And at a nice discount, I think a very good click. AJ Barner there. So yeah, tight end, highly coveted in this pocket. Get your guy. Don't worry about it. And then I think for the second time in a row, unless De Palma takes him, I think the plan is to go with Emmanuel Wilson once again. I like the reasoning for the pick on the last one. I think, you know, early on in the season, we want names that can contribute. If you told me Jadarian Price, the rookie, has a slow start, that's kind of typical for rookies. Maybe Emmanuel Wilson is actually the Seahawks running back you need in your lineup week 1 to advance. Maybe, just maybe, he's a little hidden gem down here in the Eliminator format. I think there's probably going to be some players that are going super late that we are not coveting at all and probably deserve more credit in the Eliminator just because of the nature of this contest. Points in week 1 or through 4 are much more valuable than points later because you have to survive the first 4 weeks. Without that, everything else is worthless. So at times, maybe favor that in your decision making, along with a late season bye. All right, let me get the comments set up. At this point in time, it's either cannabis preservationist, breeder, or streamer. I'm cool with just not being known. Well, the internet will change that if you stick to it. This is my 3rd year live streaming, and then the channel's been up for like 5 years. So you got to stick to it. Nothing is guaranteed, but anything is possible. That's the beauty of life. Nothing is guaranteed, but anything is possible. Got Wemby for my NBA draft for tomorrow. High five. That's definitely the guy you want. Other than Mr. Flappenstein. Mr. Flippity Flapper from Canada over there. the only time I watch the NBA, it's just has to be an OKC game. It's just fucking, it's boring. It bores me. Didn't always feel this way about basketball. It's just how I feel these days. I get bored watching the NBA. Anyways, 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs on this team. We can stop, but I think it could tolerate a 6th for sure. The wide receiver room probably needs 2 more. I think I'm good at tight end, honestly, with Kraft and Brenton Strange. I'll take my chances there. So I think with 1 more running back click, 2 more receivers, we'll be in business. They say you shouldn't take rookies in this format. But fuck it. Give me Dejon Stribling. This team also has Ricky Pearsall, so, you know, it's just a bet against Mike Evans. At one point in time, Evans will miss time, and I will get some points out of Stribling. I think my receiver room is good enough up top where, like, I can kind of just assume that I'm going to look to points later on that can carry me once I've advanced. And if you told me Ricky Pearsall goes down again, I wouldn't be shocked. That would just promote Stribling. And then if you told me Ricky Pearsall just doesn't deliver, it's probably because Stribling does outscore him. So one of these two I think was a great pick. Both of them passed ADP, especially the big discount on Pearsall. I'm happy with that. I will say Braylon Allen's kind of interesting, but we do have Emmanuel Wilson, so Charbonnet could be super, super valuable in that regard. You know, like once Wilson becomes worthless, it's probably just because Charbonnet takes over, unless Price is just that good. But we've seen the Seahawks have a pretty split backfield. I just shit on somebody else taking Charbonnet in this earlier, but I think they took him at like 165, something like that. I just took him at 195, and then I also have Emmanuel Wilson. So from a standpoint of like, let's capitalize on all of the Seahawks backfield touches beyond Jadarian Price. Maybe the rookie just isn't as good as promised. You know, on this team specifically, I never take Charbonnet, but he's also never an option to me at 195. So today is different, and you know, I'm still trying to figure out what works in this Eliminator format. I didn't play it at all last year, so I'm genuinely a newbie, and there's things that I think are kind of obvious, like the late buy, but like beyond that, you want to maybe look at the schedule a little bit and then have some teams that you're willing to take a stand on, and perhaps good receiver depth is better than elite receiver talent. I feel like, especially at wide receiver, you know, getting Jamar Chase there at pick 3, he's the best wideout of them all. So I couldn't help myself, but I think just having solid depth is a bit more important than like, oh, I need 3 of the best receivers in order to make it through in the Eliminator. I think if anything, you got to favor running back. Try to stay balanced though, and then if you do pass on receiver like we did in the last one, make sure you get in with a lot of them and stop kind of early. Like we stopped with Diggs in the 12th round as our wide receiver 7 in the last one. I really like that team, to be honest. Okay. This team, Colton had Diggs as wide receiver 5, stopped with 6. Had Amon-Ra, Olave, and Neighbors at pick 41. A big bet on Neighbors. Worth committing to, you know, especially in this format when there's not that much payout in the first place. Might as well really make the commitment that you're right and everybody else really fucked up. Everyone else was wrong. Nobody else knows what they're doing. That's kind of the only way to approach this format. You know something that nobody else does. At least not in your lobby. But I'm good with these 6 RBs. We got the 3 QBs. I'm going to go Kamari DK. and this guy might be so effing worthless, but I think Calvin Ridley could get traded. I don't see why the Titans need Calvin Ridley at all. So with that in mind, I think maybe DK can outperform him. I'm looking for a Titans combo, and I did kind of like him last year, but boy, so much competition. Probably a bad pick. I probably should have taken Malik Washington. Probably, but that is not that inspiring. I think my receiver room with Jamar was good enough to like warrant a big risk. And if you told me that Ridley does get traded, and I do think Chimeri with some established connection has a chance, but if anything, this feels like a really bad pick. If anything, I probably never should have taken Chimeri DK, but didn't really know where to go on that last pick. Didn't feel too excited. Probably should have just stuck to my guns and grabbed like a guy I know will give me spikes and just taken Taekwon. But as I was scrolling, there was no one that felt good, and I knew I had not a single other Titan with Cam Ward. So whatever. Whatevs. But DK can also score some special teams touchdowns. You know, he's a kick returner, got a lot of athleticism, talented, was on the field a lot last year. Who knows? Maybe he's being slept on. Maybe there's an injury above him. And Ridley also gets traded, but probably a worthless pick in hindsight. All right, let's recap the team. We got Lamar, Tyler Shuck, and Cam Ward. I probably should have taken a Lamar combo. Josh Jacobs, Travis, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Algier, Emmanuel Wilson, and Charbonnet. Really getting risky with the Seattle handcuff situation, but maybe, just maybe, we thread the needle just in the right way with Wilson and Sharps. Wide receiver, strong up top with Chase, Adams, Tyson, Downs, Ricky Pearsall at a great discount, 123 overall. Stribling also in San Francisco, and then DK, perhaps a misclick in hindsight. Tucker Kraft, though, an elite tight end 1, should stay healthy, hopefully, and really deliver. And then Brenton Strange, just a really cheap, affordable tight end. In the first place, at 157, I got him to fall at 166, and I'm ecstatic about that. Love the Jags tight end. 11 spots. No, my math was right the first time. 9 spots past ADP. It's the 0.5 that's fucking with me. 9 spots past ADP on Strange. All right. Let me check the chat. If I ever do, y'all will be the first ones I stream with. Would love to. I'll send y'all a care package in the meantime. I mean, you had me at joining the stream. There's also a care package involved. Hell yeah. Anthony says Taylor Swift and Kelsey was and the Cavs game tonight. Whatevs, bro. Whatevs. We don't need that tabloid shit. No offense, Anthony, but if there's one guy that's not going to give a shit about a Travis Kelsey appearance, the husband of Taylor Swift, it's this Charger fan over here. Let's take a look at some rosters. I think we were drafting with Sosky, and we already reviewed his team, so not going to do it the third time around. We were drafting with Colton. Let's take a look at Colton's team out of the 108. Jalen Hurts, Jackson Dart, and Mendoza. If I recall, Dart at 104 was a nice faller in this lobby as well. Dart is a little risky, though. Let's not pretend that's not the case. He can enter the blue tent and just not finish the game at any point in time. But you do have Mendoza. Down the stretch can come in handy. Might be on the bench for a while behind Kirk Cousins, though. Running back with Walker, Quinshon Judkins, Rashad White, Pacheco, Kamara, Katron, and Adam Randall. So once you get to RB4, you know, a little bit of desperation, but having 7 helps the overall depth. Some early buys with Walker and Rashad. Yeah, did not care about the early bye weeks at all. You want to get there in the first place, but week 5 might be tough. Week 5, if you don't get a Rashad White standout game, you may not have a contributor alongside Quinchon in week 5 going for more than like 6 points. So good luck in week 5. I'll pray for you. Amon-Ra at wideout with Olave, Neighbors, Makai Lemon, Diggs, and Omar Cooper. You only went with 6 wideouts, and Diggs the 5th is not bad. But I even took 7 with Diggs as my 7th earlier. I think the bet on Neighbors, though, is really a fair justification of all that. But I think I might prefer someone better than Omar Cooper if I'm going to stop at 6. Cooper should be great, but as a Jet, as a rookie, could take some time to really deliver. Same with Makai Lemon. The receiver room, even though it's really good up top, is actually a little bit risky with the rookies making such an impact on the projections here. But Fannin and Kittle, I mean, that's kind of bold too. Damn. Might have one too many running backs. Kittle. Hope he comes back healthy pretty quickly. This team is bold. Might deliver, but some of the running backs might not need to be there because you might get nothing out of these two for a very long time. Same with Pacheco. Probably not, but then especially if Kamara retires, like yikes. All right, good luck at running back, especially in week 5. We are also drafting with... Actually, there might not be too many of y'all in here with me. Let me know in the chat. I was in the 3 spot vicariously. You just want me to review my team again? My team's all right. It's solid. I don't think there's a hole, but I don't think there's like a truly elite piece. But I guess I do have Lamar. Actually, no, there is an elite piece with Lamar and Chase. But that's round 1. Everyone should have an elite piece in round 1. This team is fun. This team is fun. I guess I will review Sosky because I don't think there's that many names I recognize, in all honesty. Caleb Williams, Matthew Stafford, and Daniel Jones, pretty decent. Bijan, Beischel, Tootin, Dobbins, Gainwell. Love the Gainwell click. I'm a slappy for Gainwell. Tyrone Tracy is the 5th, is also pretty solid. London, Pickens, J-Mo, Shakir, Flournoy, Ted Hurst, and Branch. Pretty good. Not afraid of taking J-Mo above ADP. Pick 49. Not bad at all. But then Juwan Johnson, AJ Barner, Jake Tonjes. Pretty legit tight end room as well. Yeah, it seems like in general, I always like a team that waits on tight end. It's always easy to piece together down the stretch. I think that might be it. Other than Jackson's team, Burrow and Dak, only 2 QBs. 7 running backs with Hampton, Monangai, Mason, Keaton Mitchell, Woody Marks, Singleton, and Braylon Allen. So, yeah, I think this is definitely a 7 RB room. Good luck getting a consistent RB2 in this roster, but you do have Hampton. You might be able to get it done if Mason can get the job early enough. Mason could be the savior here. And maybe even Monangai as well. But good luck surviving with that type of build. CD Lamb, Zay Flowers, T. Higgins, Luther Burden, Coker, and Jalen Naylor. So strong top 4. Coker's pretty legit as the 5th, but only 6 with Naylor. And then 3 tight ends with Pitts, Helm, and Gesicki. The Burrow stack is there. The Lamb, Dak Prescott stack is there. And then, yeah, makes sense with some week 17 correlation. Not as valuable in this, but you did pull up Flowers above Higgins. Interesting that their ADP, they've switched in this one. I'm a little shocked because Flowers can really disappear. There's games where Flowers only has like 10, 11 yards. I feel like he should be moving down in this format, not moving up. T. Higgins, the one moving down. Interesting. Maybe he has a tough week 1 matchup or something. Something I'm not factoring in. Anyways, I think that's going to be it. I think that's all for this evening. And let me just catch up with the chat real quick. Imagine being a Chiefs fan. You got to hear about it even more. I know, right? Isn't it just like incessantly a reminder that you never asked for? Kittle was at the last game, so who is the better choice, Kittle or Kelsey, in your opinion? If there's one person I'm more willing to root for, I think it's probably George Kittle. As a Charger fan, it's tough to. I have respect for Travis Kelce. I don't like him. I'm not a fan of Travis Kelce. At times, I have been a fan of George Kittle. Kittle is someone I've drafted. I've never really drafted Travis Kelce. The goal of the Eliminator is not being eliminated. Jackson says he's in here. Quite a few in the overfill for sure. Gotcha. If you got time from the 9, I think we did. Big week 1 matchup for Zay and T. That's very fair. Eliminator is more about floor. Indeed. All right. I think that's going to be it. A reminder, if you're watching, I can get you a pretty sweet deal on Underdog. The link is in the description. I think this one is it. There we go. Yeah. $50 in bonus funds when you play your first $5. So enter one puppy and get $50 on me. Promo code BLUNT. Link is in the description. Follow the link. That is the easiest way to do it. The link specifically makes sure everything is accounted for and what is in your account needs to be there. And you also receive a first-time deposit match up to $1,000. I believe it's a 50% deposit match. So if you wanted to, you could deposit $100 on your first sign up with Underdog. You get $50 instantly on your first deposit. You play your first 5, you hop in a puppy, and then you get an extra $50 on top. So that's $100 combined after both promos apply. And then because the NBA is still live, there's also expected to be a free pick'em for you over there in the NBA category. I think you can get basically like half a point projection on like Luka Doncic or something. You know, at this point it'd be like Shea Gilgeous-Alexander or Wemby hypothetically. Don't quote me on the specific player, but I believe that's also eligible for new customers. Promo code BLUNT in the description. I'll see ya tomorrow, and it's been fun, but I'm gonna head out. We are going to say goodbye, and we are going to clear this pipe. We will hit it for the very last time, and then I'll say goodbye. The lemonade hits pretty strong. I had a glass of lemonade and a glass of water. I had one of each. They came in handy. But peace out, everyone. Good night. Keep it 100, and I'll see y'all tomorrow. Probably early in the morning. I think I'll just do one draft, maybe a pit bull, just because it's only one. And then we'll also be live with Who Hames at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific. I believe it's the 3rd hour of his live stream. He'll be live all afternoon tomorrow. So check that out. I'll see y'all guys there. Peace out. Goodbye.